Hello, everybody. How are you doing? My name is Piercing DN. Welcome back to the ESA Cup Season 7. We're now back in Group B for tonight. How is everyone doing? I hope everyone's had a good work week as we now move into the weekend. Up for our first match today, we have Windows Key versus E-Wave Esports. And funny enough, I actually know a little bit about E-Wave Esports. I've seen them in other leagues before. I think I may have seen them in Odyssey, but I doubt it. I think that's Latin League. I cast for a lot of other leagues, but regardless, I've seen them play, and usually they play pretty well in the kind of mid-high range area. So I have some pretty good hopes for them. Windows Key, I've seen them play before. They're pretty decent as well. Speaking of their performance, let's take a look at that standing there, as both of those teams for our first match are actually the highest in the standing, with E-Wave Esports in second place and Windows Key in third place, respectively, with 7 points, 9-round differential for E-Wave Esports, and a 7-round differential for 6 points. So still pretty close between the teams, but E-Wave Esports having a little bit of an edge here, which personally I think that edge might be just what they need for winning out this upcoming match here. Taking a look at the rosters here, do that really quick. But yeah, personally, I feel like E-Wave Esports will come out on top. I've have more personal experience and familiarity with them. On Windows Key, we're gonna have Fod Neo, Tatters, Konski. I actually know Konski, Pizza Parker, Dob the Eternal, Nerd, and Quick Peek Pete. And for E-Wave Esports, our team's gonna be looking at Dipsy, Dex, Pat, Yannick, Cola, or I'm sorry, yeah, Rizraz, Caljo, and X. And I wanted to mention as well with E-Wave, their best map being on Cafe, and for E-Wave Esports, their best going to be on Chalet, which we'll see what the maps we're going to be playing on just a moment will be and how that will play into. So far, we're going to be looking at Clubhouse here, which actually I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that was Windows Key's best map. I'm kind of drawing a little bit of a blank here. I'm sorry, that would be Chalet. So neither of the team's best map or the worst, except for Windows Key. Actually, that would be Clubhouse's worst matchup so far from the data that we have so far. So a little bit concerned for Windows Key here. I mean, I'm not as familiar with them. On top of the fact that they're a little bit lower on the standing and they're playing on their worst map, I'm really surprised that they didn't ban Clubhouse. I mean, it's like I said before, it's a filter map, who has the better, it's a positioning coordination diff, kind of similar to Oregon, right? Everyone knows how to play it. It's just a matter of, do you know how to play with your team, more so than do you know how to play the map? Because the answer is everybody does. Come on, that's the golden standard, right? If you can't play Oregon or if you can't play Clubhouse, then why are you even bothering with competitive? You're obviously not where you need to be if you're struggling on those maps, right? But regardless, we'll see how that plays out for Windows Key. And as far as the voting is concerned, it looks like you guys agree with me, as right now we are looking at a 30% to 63% vote in favor of E-Wave Esports. So yeah, Windows Key, I feel like definitely has a chance here, but they're going to have to put some work in because from our data, they have not done well on Clubhouse. And E-Wave sits comfortably fine on that map. So fortunately, it looks like we'll be starting pretty soon here. But so yeah, honestly, looks like both of the teams are ready. So I think with that being said, we're going to be getting right into the match if we're ready. I just want to double check with, make sure we're all good. No delays or anything like that. But yeah, like I said, really interested to see how E-Wave plays out here. I think personally they're going to come out on top, but I could be wrong. I have seen a few matches in the past where E-Wave have had some slip-ups. I think they've got some consistency issues that they could definitely improve on from what I've seen in the past with casting with them. I'm not too familiar with their roster, so they could have gone through some serious changes that I haven't accounted for. But since I recognized one of the players there, I believe that was for E-Wave, or maybe that was Windows Key. I'd have to think about it. But I feel like E-Wave will do fine here. At least you guys think so, at least. So we'll see in just a moment. We're still getting a few things readied up before we start the match, but once that begins, we'll jump right into it. As far as Clubhouse goes, it's kind of disappointing that we're kind of still playing, Clubhouse, Oregon. We like to see things spiced up, but you got to keep in mind that we're still in the qualifiers. Teams are going to be much more hesitant to be revealing their playbooks, and it's very hard to play non-standardized maps like these without unveiling some sort of your playbook because the default on those maps, because of how different they are, is not going to be the most effective against a well coordinated attack. So you want something a bit more specialized, and that's what you want to avoid doing excessively when you're just trying to qualify, right? This isn't a you lose once, you're out situation. So it makes sense that we're going to continue to see this. But fortunately, we are going to be moving on to stage two in due time. We're just finishing out these groupings right now with the current weeks, and then we'll see some more. We'll probably see a lot more less picked maps and more strats pulled out. At least I would hope so anyway. But then again, TDM meta, who knows? Hard to say for sure. But yeah. By the way, I do want to say we've had some connectivity issues going on, and unfortunately, we had a lot of availability restrictions. So that's why you're stuck with me, just a foreigner. Good old Cheeto and Cheeseburger United States of America caster here. So it's just going to be me for these 3 games. So stick around. I've always got something to say. So you ain't going to have to worry about a lot of quiet moments. That will not be happening. It's kind of funny. When I first started casting for a lot of leagues, I used to do everything. Host, observe, camera, the whole 9 yards. Casting was rough. All right. And with that being said, it looks like we are going to be getting into this game now as we now move on to the first match for the night, starting with Clubhouse. Forgot to mention, I do believe that it is Windows key. My information is not the most up to date, but I believe it will be Windows key that will be starting off on the defense here. So we'll be seeing that in just a moment. Unfortunately, we just had a reboot, so we're not up quite yet. I don't know what exactly happened there, so give us just a moment here. I've just been informed there's some kind of bug, unfortunate. But right now, they're going to be going through the bans right now. Since we're on Clubhouse, you can expect this, the typical, probably see Hibana, probably see Cade, Solus, Zami, Fenrir. At least that's what I'm expecting. I don't think they're going to pull out anything super specific on bans, although I could possibly expect Windows Key to pull out a target ban onto against E-Wave. That's not exactly against the board. They are kind of on the record as far as playing at higher levels, so I could for sure see that happening here. All right, I'm going to be starting off that first ban. I'm going to have you guessed it, that's going to be a Hibana ban starting out. And for our second ban, that's going to be a Ying ban. Makes sense. Ying can be very, very oppressive, especially with the flash rework. We've been seeing a lot of bans on her throughout this entire season. So I don't think that's going to be changing anytime soon here. Maybe when the bans get a little bit more specific as teams play out their playoff matches, get a bit more familiarity with what teams like to bring. But so far, yeah, it's going to be non-specific, generic bans for the most part in a lower competitive setting. And that's going to be, those targets towards the most common types of, or the common competitive executes for a default, which makes sense with having a Solus and a Fenrir ban. Pretty standard stuff. I think we all kind of saw that one coming. All right, that start off with round 1. Looks like we're going to be starting in basement. Pretty standard pick, basement strong. I don't like the idea of going such a pretty easy site to win off the rip. Personally, I am on the belief of trying to go, something that's a little bit more unpredictable for the first round, especially as the defense, something that's a bit more dicey because that you're kind of warming up to your attack for the first round and being able to kind of abuse that fact to win a map that you might otherwise not have down the line just ends up being a bit more beneficial in that situation. But yeah, pretty standard setup so far. We are going to see a middle full rotate. I don't know if that's a new standard, but that's not something you see every day, at least not from my competitive experience. Usually you have just some head height holes so you can shoot out from for the Mira, but having a full out rotator is definitely an interesting choice here. We may have seen that a few times in the past, and I just completely was oblivious to it, but from my experience, that's not ideal because you want them to funnel down in church. And with that big of an opening, you can waltz right in. And when you got smokes, things obscure vision, that's a little dangerous. But they do have Konski on the warden, which can help in mitigating that situation. But it doesn't completely stop it, especially if Konski gets eliminated early on here. I'm going to see a bit of a split push from E-Wave here with a bit of a presence from stock, trying to clear out that top down, going for a top down approach. It's not too bad because once you get that top down cleared out, you get something to kind of lock it up, like some kind of flank security, maybe a cam, and you pretty much know that that area is going to be untouchable, at least is going to be blocked off by the defense. You're not going to be able to take advantage of that much longer, but we don't really have a nomad or anything, so there is a possibility if they don't just push from all fronts to slip up, but that remains to be seen. Kind of scary to have Don all the way on his own, but going to be able to get that stock hatch wide open for them. Looks like we're going to be seeing a blue side execute or a blue in church heavy execute here. So no tunnel or probably no kitchen drop of the like. There goes bar as well. Already getting a lot of early setup here as well as the vertical. Usually on basement, you want to have more of a heavy roam presence, but instead we're going to see Windows Key opting for a more anchor heavy, which that has been happening a lot in this league. We saw that for Group A quite a bit as well, and it had pretty varying effects. Oh, but there's the first down with an impact from Peter. Going to be able to contest that vertical from Dex. Doing a pretty good job standing his ground on the vertical. Nade's going to come out trying to flush out Konski here, but those nades are not going to land. It's going to be both nades, making that Konski player just a little bit more difficult to clear out. Although they don't really have any smoke, so Konski is not that big of an issue in that regard, but it is going to make entering in just a little bit more difficult. Now Aljo trying to get that kitchen hatch open, but with no one really to contest other than Azami with the impacts. There goes one of those impacts. Going to be able to successfully deny that hatch break, and with no other additional hard breach charges, they're not going to be able to get that kitchen hatch. It's just going to be an additional thorn as they have less presence deep in the armory. But Rizraz will be able to pick up Konski here, finally getting that blue control that he was looking for. Gonna be able to push down, but there's gonna be one now pushing back into blue over by Gen side, trying to get a swing here, but Rizraz is trying to push up very aggressively here to get some presence. Oh, but gets swung by Rizraz before Don's able to cover here. Now that's going to be a massive thorn. Having a Monty in blue stairs, but lost that control. Aljo able to take Eternal. Free frag right back onto Don. Yannick taking Peter down as well. One down, but not out. Now all up to Yannick here with 5 seconds left on the clock. Going to have to make a move here at some point. But with the mirror and a bomb site, it's going to be too much for our poor friend Yannick to handle here as he's stuck in a nasty crossfire down to the last wire. Took a little bit too long to execute there, and not with a whole lot of control to work with. This is why I say that it's kind of a problem that you don't really have smokes there. Because yes, you had Konski on the Warden, and Warden is quite common. That can be a problem. But as we clearly saw there, they were able to clear out Konski just fine. But despite that, E-Wave was unable to really kind of get their footing down. I mean, we saw, Rizraz really pushing up there, trying to get that blue control as much as he could, but the rest of the team was just not there with them, still staying mostly on the vert, not really making a move down. And when the clock is ticking and you get a big piece of control like that, everyone should be starting to collapse. And unfortunately for E-Wave, they just weren't able to get that going. On top of that, we saw blue retaken by Windows Key. On top of that, we even saw the Monty go down as well. Just made for a execute that kind of fell apart before it even really had the chance to blossom. So, but as usual, it's just the first round, so it's not that big of a deal. It's always kind of tough to, get a good first round on attack unless you really got it nailed down from the get-go, or you're pretty well warmed up, which might not necessarily be the case here. Now moving on to gym and bedroom. But like I said, going basement on a first, which is like one of the safest sites you could go to, I wouldn't personally agree with that. But considering, I mean, it did end up to a 2v1 right before the round ended, maybe not the worst decision because you don't want to just give them a round lead and momentum off the rip. So I can't understand where Windows Key would be coming from there. All right, off the rip, we're going to be getting that CCTV wall open. Thanks to Don here. Going to be rappelling back up onto the roof. Use that as a what we call phantom pressure. But we do have Aljo with some actual pressure holding by the rafters window here with Fod holding for that window there, just waiting for him to peek, trying to deny that cash presence as much as humanly possible. But so far, it doesn't really look like E-Wave is opting for that. Shots coming out. Quick peeks from both, but both able to keep their heads attached to the shoulders, staying alive. Now we're going to see a bit of a rotate here from Fod, which right now still looking a bit slow here, a bit more of an anchor-heavy composition from what we've seen before with Windows Key, but so far with 1:40, not a lot of direct side pressure at the moment, so still sitting pretty comfortably here. Got a lot of gridlocks going out, completely blocking that red side rotate, which considering they're now starting to really nailed down their presence over by Cash after Fod gave it away. That's pretty much the opening they need. Eternal with the TK on Pizza. Yikes, that Nitro did not go according to plan there. That's going to be that's going to be one Nitro down thanks to Eternal, but they still have Fod on the board to do some damage here with that Nitro. Eternal going to be able to take Dawn in turn, at least even out the numbers, pay for her sins. 1 minute remaining. And they still got a lot more set up to go. Didn't even open up the jacuzzi wall either, which is interesting. Really wondering how that's going to pay off if it does. Dex going to be able to take Eternal, or not pay off, get punished. Now we got Konski trying to push up to further deny that construction off the mirror. A few shots come in just a little bit too late there, but now they know where Konski is, and she's going to be a little bit boxed in here, especially if there's one above hatch, which it doesn't look like there is. Fod still holding below, waiting for that walk-in execute, as well as Peter over by the gym, focusing on plant denial rather than denying control, because right now they have full control of construction, and it's just a matter of them walking in. We're going to see a push into Logi, but going to get denied thanks to Fod from below, and that's diffuser drop. And now it's down to a 1v3. A lot of picks came out, but the problem is they don't have diffuser. With 10 seconds to go, they're going to have to hop into Logi and try to get that plant down if they're able to manage to. We're going to see a little bit of that run out from Raz to take that diffuser and successfully get Konski in the process. A double plus for her. Well done and nice shots, as E-Wave will be able to take that round now for a 1-1 mix. Gonna be moving on to going back to gym and bedroom. Not looking the greatest right now that E-Wave is starting to catch that momentum. It was looking decent when they dropped diffuser. Hopping into Logi like that was really risky, or at least E-Wave didn't think so. I mean, Fod holding below was an excellent position there, but kind of lucky for her, to be honest, because if it was anyone else pushing into there, it still would have been a rough situation, which it still was. I mean, ultimately, E-Wave just got way too much control for free. I mean, we had Fod holding by red stairs initially, falling all the way back down to the vertical, and they had no one to hold accountability for that, giving way too much control in favor of E-Wave, allowing them to get all of the setup in the world that they could ask for in construction. Once a chokehold folds, gym and bedroom just become that much harder in order to win as defense, and we clearly saw just that with how they were able to take construction almost uncontested, or at least with minimal contact, which that should not be happening on defense. You have to put the pressure on construction. The second they get that control, that's when you start to really get in trouble. You better have wasted a lot of time at that point. Otherwise, you're looking at potentially losing a round, which is exactly what happened there. Oh, no way. Was she in construction? That could have actually been a free pick for Aljo there, but I don't think that was actually construction. That's just the overlay there. Speaking of Aljo and Nook, I hear they're going to be doing a rework on the nades to where you can't cook them. Woo! That's going to be a Nitro from Pizza, able to take Yannick out so very early on, and that's going to be a Thatcher down. going to be getting those walls open infinitely more difficult, especially with no EMP secondaries. They don't really have a way to open that wall anymore. And overdependence on Thatcher can really cost you when it comes to getting some walls open. However, despite that, they're still going to be able to get Jacuzzi walls. There's no denial on that wall. Going to be able to have that presence. Aljo trying to flush out Fod here, who's playing over by Bar, still holding on to that vertical like she did last round, was able to get that massive drop on diffuser there. Rizraz taking some heavy damage over by Western Hallway. Vertical proving a bit of a difficulty for her as she tries to help cover Aljo in getting rid of this bar play. They do know where she is. However, Dex will be able to take Peter, but that's not the clear. They know there's still one more in bar. They can flush her out here. That is going to be a huge pick in their favor. Wall banging, trying to go out, and she will be able to take that. Aljo flicking onto the other wall to get rid of Fod. That's going to be that vertical presence completely shut down. And with as much presence as they now have as far as control goes, they can pretty much go wherever they please, but they're still opting for that Jacuzzi execute, which is still a very dangerous funnel here. However, Dawn, with 2 flashbangs still on the board, does have the opportunity to slice up this potentially dangerous situation. Oh, but the hats drop right into Eternal's line of sight, able to take out. Are we going to possibly see another? Oh, the pre-fire from Eternal, able to take Rizraz out. Now down to a 3v2. Giving up 2 people just on the drop alone, but the pre-fire from Dawn going to be able to take Eternal out, shutting down that Reign of Terror. Now down to a 2v2. We got some movement back up to main stairs with Aljo, or with Pizza with the shotgun. It's going to be a very scary situation for the Aljo to navigate here, but if they're able to push out, they will be able to get a plant, but they just got to get into bedroom or gym. Don going to be able to catch Konski here. Now all up to Pizza. They do have Jim. Going to be able to plant. Shotgun comes out. Major damage onto Aljo. Still alive, though. Going to be going for the plant with 5 seconds remaining, but he's a little bit exposed here. Pizza could take this around by swinging at just the right moment, but not going to be able to in time. Gets the plant down, but Pizza going to be able to SMG 9 the Don here. Now all up to Aljo to hold on to this diffuser with such little HP here. 1 shot to a shotgun, and it's it. But instead, just going to SMG him or her just as well as he did with Don. And with that, that's going to be Windows Key narrowly retaking that round. I mean, E-Wave had it all there. They had a great vertical clear. Lost no lives there. Took 2 people. And then on top of that, they had a Jacuzzi setup. They had everything they needed. But I'm telling you what, though, that drop costed them so much. Giving Mira 2 free picks there. When I say unideal, I mean disastrously unideal. Losing 2 people like that on a funnel like that is not what you want to be dealing with. Although the walk-up from Aljo was very valuable and kind of displacing Windows Key in such a way that they are able to get a plant down. But with how low HP both of them were, especially against a shotgun, without a solidified cross angle, especially with Don losing his life as early as he did, that just really kind of set the stage for Windows Key to win a round that they fundamentally should have lost with how many they lost on the vertical. You see it here first, ladies and gentlemen. All it takes is just 1 bit of bad placement and positioning on a map like Clubhouse, and that difference really starts to show out. I mean, right place at the right time for Windows Key, but wrong place, wrong time for E-Wave 100%. And that's really the difference maker, is those key positions that they are holding, and Windows Key just held it better. We're actually going to see Dex on the glass. Honestly, I'm one of those people that still holds that ancient opinion that Glaz is absolutely awful, and I don't like seeing him. But with Warden being as prevalent as he is, I kind of get it, especially if you want to spam smokes. But here's the thing that I'm not exactly understanding here, right? Where's the smokes? Well, other than Sense. Okay, never mind. I'm trolling. But still, like, you keep 2 very iffy operators that are supposed to play off each other. I really don't like that. I really don't. Maybe for E-Wave, they'll be able to make it work, but honestly, I would just avoid this composition altogether. Oh, here's the peek. Oh! The clean tap onto Dex, calling out that peek. His head just barely revealing himself and immediately repeaking to get taken out here. Rizraz trying to contest the blue stairs, having someone hold so close is pretty scary when you got utility out, but still able to keep alive and still it maintains some kind of control over blue stairs. But wow, what a shot there by Peter. Or was that pizza? I apologize. I'm kind of getting names mixed up here. But I mean, great shot on the main stairs. Take Dex out. I mean, there goes your little pocket strat with Glass. But honestly, I wouldn't want to see him anyway. Goodbye. 1 minute, 20 seconds. Already see a mirror popped early here. I wonder if that was by mistake. That's a huge loss in stalling that you don't want to take unnecessarily here. But that might have been set off by Rizraz. Either way, still going to allow for a main entrance push earlier than what Windows Key would like for here. 1 minute remaining, and we're seeing a similar situation of no actual ground movement yet from E-Wave here. Gonna have to find that opening eventually and push through those funnels, because last time they didn't really do that, and that caused them a lot of issues. They got a lot of information thanks to Aljo on where they're playing by church, but now it's just a matter of finding that opening. They're waiting for something to happen here to where they have an opening, but just not able to find anything so far. But they might just have to make the move, and there it is. Aljo jumping down, now trying to push his way in. Eternal could be able to shut down that main stairs push, taking Don down. Still another one by main stairs, but the feed holes, thanks to Fod, gonna be able to take Aljo out. Yankee getting Konski with the push coming in slowly but surely, but with so many lives lost, it doesn't matter as Fod finishes out Rizraz. Another execute, botched on time constraints, and just a lack of an opening, right? Just a lack of momentum that they had to really play off of here. Really unfortunate situation for E-Wave, but basement is just not their site to attack, as now that's the second time that Windows Key was able to take that with relative ease, if you ask me. Right now, it's definitely looking like a coordinate or an execution slash positioning diff here, as E-Wave is just not able to get an execution going like they need to. I mean, they won Gym and Bedroom once. I will give them that. Once they got that control, but even still, it's been pretty close-ish. So, still kind of worried for E-Wave here on the attack, but hey, if you're able to take one attack and win all your defense, then does it really matter? Hopefully, E-Wave's defense is a lot stronger than the attack, but Windows Key is still doing a pretty good job of holding down. I mean, not a whole lot of adaptability needed here, just considering how the executes have been, but still not really giving any free picks to E-Wave. And even if they lose more than they'd like for example on the vertical, they still find a way to come back by just having that off positioning that is just enough to completely throw E-Wave off and dethrone them, or at least shatter them to smithereens before the actual execute comes down. So Windows Key does absolutely have that going for them when the going gets tough. But honestly, other than that one round, the other two rounds on basement, or the other round on basement and the other rounds in Gym and Bedroom, they really, or yeah, those two times they didn't really need it. But we are going to see an early pick again, as Rizraz will be able to take Eternal here. Another early pick on those roamers, and that is going to be banded down as well. However, we're going to see a nice shot from Konski, going to be able to take Aljo out here. They may have the wall open, and possibly the mirror too, but at what cost here? Oh, the headshot from Konski could be able to barely catch. Rizraz almost gets Yannick as well. 2v3 looking a little bit rough here, especially with Don still on the Monty. Can put a lot of pressure on the low or rounds per minute operators, Frost and Castle here, but Konski going to try to get aggressive here, try to spot one by the breach. Yannick going to fall back, move with his team, especially with a fuser. I'd say that's probably the right move, because that pick would have been a huge detriment. Konski knew and took that aggression there. That could have been really devastating, but with a man disadvantage right now and with so much time on E-Wave's hands, it doesn't really make sense to go for such a move with the information that you have available at the time. 1 minute and 20 seconds. Gonna begin to make the move over construction. Still haven't pushed in though, which I'm really surprised by. If I was in this situation, I would have absolutely forced my way in. But now, with all the time needed to adapt, they've got plenty of angles holding onto construction. Konski gonna get really aggressive, try to contest, overextends, is gonna get taken out by Dex. man, that is not what you want to do there. You had a nice angle there to try to hold him off, and you just gave it up. Now it's going to be up to Peter, who's still holding by first floor and bar. I just now realized it's first floor. That's hilarious. Still going to be holding on here, waiting for them to clamp down, but they still got castles and cover to help hold them off for as long as possible. There's the Monty going to be spotted there. Going to get an idea of where Peter is. If he gets that plant down, then it's going to be game over for him here. Don now executing the plant. Going to have to contest stock here to stop this plant. Dex taking some serious damage here. Goes for the knife. Able to get the Monty. Now diffuser down. 20 seconds left. Oh, but Dex will be able to narrowly catch him on stock right before the fuse is about to go down. Telling you, that could have been a real different story there if he was able to just hold his position just a little bit better. Some good adaptability, but from Windows Key, trying to, stall them above in construction for as long as possible, but just not proven enough considering how they completely got crushed over in second floor there. Not a lot you can really do there. A lot of unfavorable trades here and there, especially for the amount of control that E-Wave established with just that exchange of firefights. I mean, they had pretty much the whole building under their grasp at that point. It would be really hard for E-Wave to have lost that round there, which they clearly didn't. They came out on top. But now we'll see them going back to gym and bedroom here. Interesting cam there. I wonder how far it looks into bedroom there. If it can look deep, that could be a really strong cam, especially one that is so difficult to see because you gotta keep in mind what's typically put by that door where that cam is. That's right, a mute jammer. And I'm willing to bet he's gonna put a mute jammer right there. Called it. And that is so powerful because not only are you not gonna be able to spot that by just walking around and clearing construction, but on top of that, if you do try to look for it, it's going to get jammed by a mute jammer. That is, I've never seen that before. Or maybe I should and I just suck at the game. But that is a really nice Valkyrie cam, especially in tandem with mute there. And if they play for below, that could be huge impact. Just being able to have exact information on where they're planting and nitro it out. Instead of really showing your face and putting your life on the line for it. For that planting now. That could really come in clutch here. So I think we're going to be seeing a little bit of a soul heavy. Ooh, a little bit of a run out here. Frost getting very aggressive here. Oh, no, but Rizraz able to take Eternal. Not even going for him. That is so unfortunate. Losing your mirror like that in a night. So that is not how you want that to happen. And now that's going to be one less player out the rip. That aggression from Peter just backfired twofold there. So unfortunate. Gonna start to see that move. They are gonna be able to get cash control relatively for free. Not something I really would have expected here. Konski gotta get spotted out here. Gonna be stuck in the corner thanks to that ace charge. And they know where she is. This is really dangerous for her here, especially if they probably clear that corner. A lot of damage coming out to Peter here. He's trying to cover for Konski and compensate for her holding in his corner, but I'm wondering if they actually know, because if this Monty walks out too far, that's going to be a free pick for Konski and possibly a second pick. However, Monty all the way deep into trash here. Going to be able to take that mirror out, making things just that much more difficult for Niski, but there's the swing. However, Aljo ready for it, able to take her out, and there's that corner hold completely eliminated here, and now they have construction control. Not looking good for Windows Key. Lost 2 with E-Wave. Taking 0 deaths and holding the construction with the headshot onto Pizza, holding an angle onto Logi there. Not looking good. Pizza taking a lot of damage, but going to be able to successfully take Rizraz, though narrowly, but prompt to refrag by Aljo, who's on a killing spree with a triple kill. Fod trying to make something happen here, going aggressive with the swings, but Dex able to shut them down before they even have a chance. Actually, did Dex just down their own teammate? Hard to tell, but either way, Fod just, yeah, they were just not able to hold a chance there. Very unfortunate for them. All right, now we're going to be on to swap. Moving on to basement now with E-Wave on the defense. They were able to pick it up. They really did. Windows Key just struggled with taking back those pushes. They got too comfortable with their anchors you know, just kind of sitting and letting E-Wave come to them. And boy, did they come in with a lot of stakes. Because, I mean, you look at the way they took that control. I mean, anytime Windows Key even tried to roam, it was just shutdown after shutdown. So, gotta be honest, if this is gonna be a pattern to which E-Wave is able to take it back to a split just like that, I'm starting to think that Windows Key is not going to be in a good position here. I mean, they had a good lead, but then promptly lost it. So, honestly, looks like everyone's kind of consistent so far, at least in E-Wave coming out on top. Just had a bit of a rough start there towards the beginning. But when you're able to pick up like that with the momentum that they were able to show and force them out or force out Windows Key like they did, I'm really scared for Windows Key because that kind of passive play may work on defense, but it does not work on attack. So I hope Windows Key has a way to really aggress and put the pressure on E-Wave. Otherwise, we're going to see who has the coordination difference here, and it might just be going to E-Wave. So we'll have to see in just a minute how that goes out. Getting that initial control onto third floor, going to be able to snuff out just a little bit. Going to get caught by that mute jammer. They do have a roamer by cash though. Going to be a prompt pinch eventually, especially with the infill that's coming out. So we're going to see Don try to hold out, but Eternal going to be able to promptly shut him down. Effective roam clear thanks to Eternal there. Just making the situation just a little bit better with Peter able to take Aljo out as well. However, promptly refragged in the process. They know there's one holding blue. Drone's going to spot out the Yannick here. He's going to now fall down or fall back to blue stairs. Falling back onto site, but with a person disadvantage. Not looking the best for E-Wave here. As right now, Windows Key does have that full vertical control there. With a minute and 30 seconds, their time's not looking too bad either, especially with a person advantage here. They do have a setup to really get a good execute going here, but they just have to play together, wait for an opening, and execute. Heck, even with the person advantage, they don't even really have to wait. They can sacrifice one just to get in the building and get onto site. So they're sitting pretty comfortably so far. Minute and 5 remaining so far. Things are starting to slow down here on the pacing of Windows Key. They've kind of slowed down in momentum, which is not really the best when you have an Azami and a Wamai on the board who can throw down even more utility. I would have tried to put more pressure there, but that's just me. And with still having a person advantage, that might not even matter, especially with vods slowly creeping up tunnel here. I hope they've got that barricaded. Otherwise, they have no information. And there it goes. A little bit of wall banging onto the barricade. Going to do some damage onto Rizraz, but they at least know where he is. Oh, but a nice headshot from Fod. Prompt to refrag. Here comes the execute. Plan starting to go down. Bakonski will go down, but the attackers will be able to carry it out by just flushing out the remaining defenders out of position, trying to deny the plant here. That's going to be the first round of the second half in favor of Windows Key here. We're looking at a much closer match here than I honestly would have expected here. I would have kind of thought that E-Wave would have held on some kind of lead here, especially now past the half when they were able to build that momentum to come back. But right now, that is not the case. In fact, quite the opposite, as they are pretty much playing a game of catch up. And if you know anything about how the competitive structure works, playing catch up while still eventually resulting you being even still means that you're falling behind, and that falling behind in overtime is what's going to cause you to lose. So E-Wave has to figure something out to maintain a lead big enough to shut it down to overtime, because if this pattern persists, we might see a little bit of an upset here with E-Wave not being able to win it out. Hard to say for sure. Are they on first floor again? Oh, no, they're basement again. Never mind. I'm kind of shooken by Windows Key going first floor there for one of the rounds. I was thinking maybe E-Wave was doing the same thing. Maybe they're cooking with first floor. Maybe not. A little bit of an attempted spawn peek from Aljo. Gonna backfire just a tiny bit, take a minor amount of damage, but nothing really gonna come out of it. At least giving a general info or idea of where they're executing from, which right now is more looking from stock side, trying to go for yet another top down clear because that went so well last time. It actually went very well. So looking like they're going to be doing just that. But so far, we're not seeing that much of a presence at or on the roam from E-Wave as we usually do. Whew, sorry, folks, my throat is destroyed. But anyway, yeah, like I said, not too much of a presence, mostly anchoring on the side. I guess there is a little bit of something to say about basement being more anchor heavy here than what it used to be, because before it was all about the roam and just stalling in basement, especially during the utility meta. That was so strong. But I guess that's just not the case anymore. And we got Konski on the Monty once again. Gonna be playing down for that main stairs execute. Always love to see a Monty, but especially the TDM meta makes sense why he's so strong. When everything's about gunfights and you have someone that just denies exactly that, definitely makes things more difficult. Rizraz gonna be taking some heavy damage here, trying to hold on to his fortifications, as well as Aljo taking a lot of damage here, trying to hold on to those main stairs and that motor hall or motor room denial, and it is just not going well for them, taking heavy damage already. Gonna have that kitchen hatch wide open with Windows Key able to set up as much as they please here, have a tunnel open as well. They pretty much have the ability to do whatever they please here prior to this execute. Konski gonna get shot out a bit as well, doing some major damage and able to take Don out with a pistol whip. Now down to a 5v4. Peter down in main stairs, trying to get a little bit of presence here. Stuck in between a crossway here, taking serious damage. Tries to go for the tap, but not going to be able to take it as Aljo finishes off Peter there, who was at very low HP. Another hatch going down here as they get more and more open here. 30 seconds remaining. It's now coming down to the execute. Smoke going to be holding off Konski here and be able to down with Diffuser. Such a brilliant smoke there. However, it doesn't matter as they're still able to get onto site. Windows Key getting ready for the plant here. Going to be able to catch Dex. Now all up to Aljo, who is waiting for that plant. With 12 seconds left, they're going to have to go for the plant. Eternal starting that plant process. Vod holding on to the hall. It's going to be up to Aljo to take this fight, but is unsuccessful with Vod holding the angle onto small box. Going to be able to cut him off before he even had the chance in the post plant situation. And with that, that's going to be another round going to Windows Key. Telling you, E-Wave is not looking good right now. I mean, they are getting everything by the books right, but those executes, gosh, they're or I'm sorry, not the executes. They're well, no, honestly, I'm thinking of some or a totally different half. Um, right now, the problem is E-Wave is just so unsuccessful in being able to just deny Windows Key once they get onto site from doing pretty much whatever they want. Even when things are looking a bit favorable for them, that execute comes down and it bites down hard. They are just not denying Windows Key much at all to the effect that they're wanting here. And we can clearly see that. I mean, they're not even bothering for stall because why do that when Windows Key is going to get all the control in the world that they want, whether E-Wave likes it or not. And they are clearly compensating hard to try to counter this. I mean, we now see Dawn on the Maestro, for goodness sake. But like I said, it's just not working right now. Whatever they're trying to do, they really can't make it work right now. And it's clearly showing with Windows Key coming on top. Oh my gosh, but the run-in to Bar just getting promptly shut out by Rizraz. Oh, we're going to see Vod take Rizraz out, though, with a very nice shot through the barricade there. And possibly another as they get a spot onto Bar there. Dex going to be able to go down. But we're going to see that vertical from Aljo. Going to take Vod out. Eternal going to finish Dex. Shots coming out very, very fast. And Windows Key taking rapid control. But the above angle from Don will be able to catch Eternal, shutting him down for good. Now looking at a 2v3 here. Looks like that initial entry was not what Windows Key was hoping for. E-Wave doing a really good job to shut down that initial entry. And I think that's what we need to see more of if E-Wave is going to pick up more rounds. They need to have better initial entry denial. Because so far, it's been pretty disappointing on their end. The initial entry denial, pretty much almost entirely outright being non-existent here. But still some more work to be done here if they want to win this, as Windows Key or as Pizza and Konski are still alive. And even in unfavorable conditions, Windows Key has still been able to find ways to turn it around. However, Pizza taking a good amount of damage here, and with no refrag ability right now, Konski's gonna have to find his way back to him somehow, or at least get a cross position set up. Because right now, Pizza takes that raw fight. It's not gonna look good. It's gonna drop straight down. Yannick, what are you looking at? Are you on cams? I don't know, but he was not ready for that fight at all. Konski able to get that free pick out the gate. Pizza not looking too good on health, though. Gonna be slowly creeping up to bedroom here. If he's able to contest this bedroom presence, that could be massive here. It does look like they're watching out for him. Going to rotate out. Konski got to be able to take Don. The rotate paying off massively here, as it's now all up to Aljo. They turn around to flick onto Pizza, able to take him out. But now it's all up to Konski here with 38 seconds. They still have plenty of time. This is still so winnable for Windows Key, but E-Wave is so close. They need this comeback. Otherwise, we're going to be on the match point. Going to be flanking around. They got the information on where Konski is. He's not aware that Aljo is right behind him. Going to be holding on to Lodge here, just waiting for that plant. Going to get spotted here. Still got perfect information on Konski's whereabouts with the constant red ping. The swing comes out and is going to be able to finish out Konski before he's able to take his shots in around the corner. And with that, that is going to be a much needed round for E-Wave. Came way too close for comfort as Don waltzed through construction and is able to catch one and almost make that a round for Windows Key. Still playing a game of catch-up for E-Wave, but that was a round that they needed because Windows Key's momentum so far has been deadly and to devastating effect against E-Wave here. They needed that round. But the fight is far from over because if they lose a single round, they will be going to overtime here. But honestly, other than Windows Key kind of botching that initial entry, they were fine. It's just you cannot give that many on initial entry. You've got to lock up that initial entry because that is so vital. It is so easy for a round to down spiral into a loss immediately if you're not properly entering, and they just did not do that. Losing that many players in such a fast pace is not good. I mean, they did have plenty of time to try to make something happen, but it didn't matter because it was still unfavorable odds that that Windows Key was not able to push through, resulting in losing that round there. Starting off, we're going to be seeing a bit of a top-down approach yet again. Will be over by CCTV and Cash, which we actually have not seen a lot of for this game so far. So really wondering how they're going to be responding to getting that wall open. But so far, we're not seeing a lot as far as getting wall open quite yet from Windows Key, which is definitely interesting. Usually that's one of the very first things to go for. However, Pizza will be able to pop that wall over by construction open, giving a little avenue to walk through. And it looks like they're going to be able to get Mage Breach off after all. Never mind. I stand corrected. They've got everything open out the gate. Going to be getting that information onto what they're doing to deny the entry. Fod going to be able to take Yannick out early on. Two deployable shields over by CCTV. The peek out from Rizraz. Konski a little bit slow on the reaction. They're not going to be able to take anything as Aljo's able to take Fod. Trying to push up the rafters to try to retake that control, but loses it as well. As Don, holding all the way in basement, is going to be able to take Konski out from an unexpected angle. Pizza going to be able to get Aljo in the process. Still not looking good here with a 2v3 and plenty of utility still on the board and no means to destroy it. They're going to have to contest some very dangerous grounds here, but they do have plenty of time here. Take your time, move accordingly. They have 2 smokes, 3 flashbangs. This is still very winnable for Windows Key here. As long as however, if E-Wave is able to lock it up and just not give any openings to Windows Key like we saw last round that got really dicey, this should be another easy-paced round for E-Wave here. Although time is kind of what's screwing them over here because of the rapidity of how Windows Key has been doing their initial setups. They still have a lot of time to play with here. And that's a lot of opportunity for somebody on E-Waves to slip up and for momentum to build or to take place. 48 seconds left on the clock. Still over by first floor. They're going to have to push up eventually. And with one player over by red stairs, it's going to be quite a scary swing here. Rizraz taking a bit of damage from below, trying to get some kind of verticality here. Not going to be able to see anything there. Going to eventually have to move up to Raffers, trying to take care of that BP, but just not able to get a proper angle here. 25 seconds left. Going to announce himself by shooting at over there. However, Dex will be able to take Eternal. Now stuck at a very deadly funnel here with 18 seconds. Still a lot of on the board, but he's going to have to push through those angles with the fire coming out to block him off. It's going to make things a little bit difficult. Pizza able to take Dex out here, though he did try to go for res. We're going to see a low crawl here. Not going to be able to fit through with 3 seconds left. Going to try to break the barricade. He's going to be able to hop in. 1 second remaining. He's going to try to go to the plant, but runs out of time. The fire spreading out to where he wasn't able to, or at least he thought so. And with Frost right there as well, it didn't really seem like they had much of a chance for Windows Key. And with that, the game of catch-up is still in full swing. At least enough for E-Wave to barely stay alive, as we are now back up to 5-5, like we saw them come back to the 3-3 split. Maybe they've got it down and will be able to propel themselves further. Because keep in mind that E-Wave didn't catch up in the first half until all the way to the swap. We still have 2 rounds remaining until overtime, and E-Wave is now fully caught up. And we've seen how they're able to propel themselves when they start getting going, right? Now, that's not so much really the case on defense as it is for attack, but nonetheless, it is still significant the fact that they have caught up already with 2 rounds still remaining on this half. So it's still very possible for E-Wave to take an outright victory here. But with the way that a lot of these rounds have played out, still going to be a lot of work. Although, granted, last round wasn't really that close with the numbers advantage that they had and just how much that I believe it was Konski there struggled just to get in through the head height holes. So not exactly that close at all. So if E-Wave can keep these initial entry denials, they're going to be in a really good position to win this out. Nitro going to go out, just waiting for someone to cross over before taking that gunfight, keeping a mark of exactly where it is, waiting for someone to push out the kitchen hall to try to take a pick here, which could be really strong if timed correctly here. We even got Dawn with the shoddy there. I love the yellow shoddy. I know a lot of you probably hate the FO15, but I love that gun. And boy, does it make people mad. Makes me happy every day. I love that gun. I'm going to see Vods trying to push out. That vertical going to be opening up a lot of that. I think it may have broken the Nitro as well. Yep, going to take care of that Nitro. That's going to be one less piece of utility for Aljo there. Though still able to pick up the Nitro. Oh, but the swing onto main stairs going horribly wrong as that info swing was a little too wide and Aljo taking full advantage of it. Able to take one out, but not, yeah. Going to be able to take that out, just making this a little bit easier for E-Wave. Right now, Windows Key just not able to find any kind of opening at the moment, especially with Rezaz on the smoke. That's going to prove a massive problem for Monty here, with those smokes being thrown to stall out Blue. Trying to find some kind of opening to walk in, watching out for Elemines, but right now, there really isn't anything there. And so we just got a bit of a standoff here. I don't think much is going to happen, honestly, because right now time's running out. Monty's just kind of on his own. I feel like this is going to be just a kind of a standoff, at least until the rest of the team can figure something out. So far with 48 seconds remaining, or 45 seconds remaining, not a lot coming out from Windows Key here. It's not looking too good. Running out of time. They're going to have to make a move eventually here. Hatch is now finally starting to get open. Some information coming out, but the impact from Yannick able to take Pizza out here. We do see an attempted pistol whip from Konski, but we all knew what was going to happen. It wasn't going to be good for Monty here. 20 seconds remaining. And now they're going to have to push out into the fray, into a bunch of cross angles. Pater still able to catch one despite that. And now with 13 seconds, it's all up to, yeah, the Eternal. But with that many out in the open and then trying to push out through a smoke, it's not going to go well. And with that, there's the turnaround, folks. There's E-Wave's spiral back up into match point. All it takes is one more round. They've had the momentum. They've got it down now. As long as they don't slip this up, this will be the first game of the night in favor of E-Wave. If not, we'll go to overtime. And I'm telling you, E-Wave has that slow build-up to catch up. If they don't win this here, I'm calling it now. I don't think E-Wave will win this here. And I know a lot of you voted for E-Wave, so you might want to hold on to those handkerchiefs because we might have a bit of an upset here. Just all depends on whether or not E-Wave can lock up this round right here. This is really what matters in order to finish it out. They're going to be going for or playing it a little bit safe here with a Cash Room mute jam over by Cash Room. Going to be holding on to that, especially with the double reinforcement onto Red Wall as well, the construction single. They're going to be playing this a bit default here. They know that they've been playing this well in just outright shutting down Windows key in the initial entry for favorable conditions. So they know that as long as they are able to take those favorable fights, then and just stall it out for whatever players remaining to where they're not able to create an opening, then they've got it. And I feel like that's what E-Wave's approach is here, and I 100% agree with it. Windows Key going to have to put in a lot of work here to try to figure something out. Going to have to create that opening somehow, but we will see Peter going to be able to take Aljo here. That's going to be quite a massive or an initial pick in the time stall, as now that's a lot of Shimikas, a lot of stall, just now outright unavailable. Going to be able to get those walls opened up, get a lot of that early setup that they usually depend on so heavily without much punishment, especially being able to take one favorably. And we'll see even Yannick go down as well, as the Eternal is able to take that. Right now, it is not looking good here for E-Wave, as Windows Key is not giving E-Wave any picks here, shutting down any kind of aggression that they try to show, and it's hurting them. However, Don will be able to pick off the Eternal here, almost catching another or getting caught over by CCTV. Starting to pick back up, but still got some ways to go. E-Wave isn't exactly known for their comebacks as much as Windows Key is here, so it's going to be a lot of work. Impact goes out, trying to deny that wall. We're going to see a push into Cash Room. There's a swing, but just looking away at just the wrong time as Konski is able to take out Don here. Dex taking a lot of pressure, a lot of damage here. Going to have to fall all the way back into Logi. Rizras trying to aggress, but gets cut off thanks to construction. Now all up to Dex. 4v1 here. Can he pull it off? She does not, as Pizza, holding the Windows angle, is able to catch her all the way from the window on the Logi long angle. And with that, it's not looking good for E-Wave, as we are now moving on to overtime. That was their chance, and unfortunately, they could not take it. Gotta be honest, I don't really root for teams, but I'm really seeing Windows Key winning this out. It's been very back and forth, right? Kind of establishing what the state of the situation is and how everything's kind of played out. But so far, right, we have seen Windows Key able to take initial lead with E-Wave struggling, but then eventually fall off as E-Wave gains momentum. But the problem is that when it really comes down to when it matters, this is the consistency issue that I talked about with my experience with E-Wave in the past. They don't really have that, or it seems like they may not have that consistency needed to lock it up and finish it out. And that's exactly what we're seeing here. They had a momentum. They just had to take one round, and they flopped that round massively. And thanks to Windows Key's due diligence on their initial entry, they did not let E-Wave take any early picks onto them. In fact, quite the contrary, taking multiple early picks onto them, calling out their positioning and their early setups. And that just hurt them so bad. And that's where we get what we're seeing right now, which is potentially Windows Key pulling off an upset because E-Wave is just not able to finish it out, relying way too heavily on that initial entry, which just didn't work for them. So far, we're going to be seeing that long clear out from garage side. Not too much going on so far. We will see a smoke going out. Rizraz going to take some heavy damage here, trying to hold on to red. But so far, other than Breach, they really haven't made too much control presence so far. They do have a little bit of first floor presence as well. However, Yannick will be able to take Pizza out. It's going to be now down to 4v5. Don having a long angle all the way into garage. If he's able to catch one below, that is going to be a massive pick in covering Aljo here, who's under a little bit of pressure here from the door. But all Aljo needs to do is just stay alive for Don to be able to catch this. Looks like communications coming out for this angle, which could be massive. Going to be able to spot Fod here, get a bit of damage out, will be able to successfully down, but is still resable, but in a very vulnerable position here. And it doesn't look like any teammates might be going for it so far, except for possibly Eternal here. So far, yep, going to be going for that revive. And now we're still looking at a 4v5 here. Although Fod still being very low HP in this situation. Not much for a bit of an execute so far, especially with the person disadvantage. You got a lot of utility to take care of, and only one nade to do so. This has kind of been a problem that I've been seeing from, here, is whenever it comes to attacking cache and CCTV, Windows Key just doesn't really clear out the utility like they need to, and it puts them in a very precarious situation in which they are just not able to push through because they don't have the setup they need. And there it is again. Rizraz going to be able to take out the Eternal here. We got one holding an angle by the window. Going to be able to spot the head, but not take the shot before moving back into cover. Going to fall off. Going to have to repel up. Going to make his position a little bit predictable here. Trying to go back up. Leave him vulnerable swing. Able to successfully get up here. 35 seconds left on the clock. Still a lot of focus on the breach. If Fod and Peter are able to set up some kind of rotating / flank position here, that could put a lot of pressure onto them. However, running in last minute, running into those Legion mines. Rizraz going to be able to take Konski. Peter able to take one. Starting to get that control. Peter able to eliminate Dawn. There's that off position that they need as Peter takes another one, but doesn't matter with the sheer numbers disadvantage. Now down to 1v3. They have a little bit of an opening, but still got to get through one more funnel, and Fod will not be able to make it through. As now E-Wave is on top for overtime match point. I stand corrected. I'll be the first to admit it, as right now, E-Wave is looking to take this here as they have that round. But once again, I pose the question to you, viewer. Does E-Wave have the consistency to take this momentum, especially on the swap, and finish this out? Because so far, it's been a lot closer than I think anyone could have really predicted here, considering the bias of the vote. And despite that, you know, we've seen multiple opportunities for E-Wave to take we've seen an opportunity where E-Wave could have closed it out entirely and just didn't, right? So this comes down to that consistency. Are they going to be able to? They do have that edge since they have 2 rounds they only have to win 1 of 2 rounds in order to win the game here. However, the problem still stands, the fact that once they don't have that momentum, they are pretty unreliable in maintaining rounds. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen here. I think E-Wave is going to struggle to close this out. And then once that momentum's crushed, Windows Key is going to pull something out of their little magic hat and pretty much cut off E-Wave and putting them in a crippling clutch situation that they're not going to be able to successfully take on, allowing for Windows Key to win this. But if they keep this momentum this round, I could be very much mistaken here. We'll just have to see how E-Wave responds to this situation, and if Windows Key is able to really come back from this, despite, you know, how many chances they've had to get an edge when they initially had one and just failed to do so. Fod going to be being spotted out by Rafters. Going to go for an early fallback here. Not really anyone to capitalize on that, but Fod instead waiting for someone to come out by the door, try to peek aggressively here, but going to get spotted out both ways. The aggression not going to pay off, as well as Rizraz able to take Konski. there's that initial roam now gone, trying to go the same route as E-Wave does with their aggressive initial entry denial, but backfiring as E-Wave, in my opinion, does it better here, as we've clearly seen now with a two-person advantage with a minute and 45 seconds still remaining. Going to be able to fortify that control as everyone's now back down over to basement. At least that's what it looks like here. So it's not looking too good for Windows Key. They had that initial lead, but they've got to find a way to shut down that momentum. But this is where their saving grace is, right? And there it is. Eternal able to take Yannick out with a Nitro from below. One thing that Windows Key does have the ability to do well is when things look rough, the numbers are not to advantage. They are able to pull things out to turn it around. So, yes, they are at a person's disadvantage. Yes, they are anchored. But if any site is the site to turn this around and put E-Wave on edge, it is this site. But they kind of have to. They don't really have an option. I call it again. This is the make or breaker. If E-Wave loses round, I don't think they will win the next round either. It really comes down to this. Because obviously, if Windows Key loses, that's E-Wave. Still trying to get an initial jump down below. Nade goes out. Not going to catch anyone. Trying to find a jump. They do finally have that sense in glass combo they were trying to work out. And this could be very strong for them as Windows Key does not have anybody on the board. However, Rizraz will be able to take Pizza. Don able to get Eternal. However, Peter's not just done yet. Able to get some good damage out. Able to take out Main with a good headshot here and expose himself barely to weapons, but knows where the weapons player is. Trying to get aggressive here to take another here, but gets caught out in the cross for E-Wave to take this game. Barely winning it out. Coming back time and time again. Barely able to catch up. And then finally, at the absolute last second, slingshots in. E-Wave fans, I bet you guys were a little bit scared there. But regardless, they still came out on top. E-Wave still able to successfully win, although with a very small margin of error towards the end. I still feel like there were some consistency issues in E-Wave. I still feel like there was some rounds they really should have won, but just didn't. And Windows Key had that ability, right, to absolutely turn around a bad situation. And it looked like they had the potential to do that as well. But like I said, that's kind of the problems. And honestly, it just comes down to who had the lesser issues. E-Wave's consistency towards the end was not as bad, as they still were able to play very well on their initial entry and their entry denial. Windows Key, while they did have the ability to turn things around when the going got tough, they just too often were ending themselves up in unfavorable starting situations as far as man advantage, as far as setup, as far as time. They just often were having these unfavorable matchups that they were having to play against. And E-Wave, despite having those favorable conditions, often just didn't have the consistency to just finish it off. That was kind of what we saw there a lot, but for E-Wave, it paid off for them more than Windows Key's ability to kind of make the most out of a bad situation. Got to mitigate those bad situations in the first place. But with that being said, coming up next, we've got Flawless 7 versus Aspire by EOS. We'll have that with you in just a minute. But before that, we're going to go on a very quick break, and I'll see you guys in just a minute. We'll be right back. Hello and welcome back to the ESA Cup. For now, we've got our next upcoming match of Flawless 7 versus Aspire by EOS. We just saw our first match of E-Wave versus Windows Key, with E-Wave barely able to pull through with an 8-6 win. It was really tough. A lot of catching up on E-Wave's part. Some consistency issues resulting in them going to overtime, but they did eventually pull through once they got that first win on overtime. That just allowed them to set the stage to finish it out strong. But with that out of the way, let's take a look at the updated standing if we have that. So far, E-Wave Esports now on top with a 9 points and 11 round differential. However, Flawless 7, who we're going to be watching for this upcoming game, closely behind with a 12 round differential and 8 points. So very easy to still come back on top. Windows Key still sitting pretty well despite the loss, still sitting in third place. No change there. But considering Aspire by EOS playing this match, and with Empire, yeah, I'm sorry, that's pretty much it. Aspire by EOS, if they win this, they will still be able to knock Windows Key out of that third place position. But with that being said, let's take a look at the teams and see what we've got going on here. We do have a little bit of a vote, as we can see, with Flawless 7, 100% vote. You guys really think Flawless 7 is going to win this out? Maybe you're right. Who knows? We'll see. They are in second place so far. For Aspire by EOS, we've got Caesar, Casper, Carol, Black Future, Pro Gaming, Hookah, Keeks, Loki, and Slowzy with their best map on Chalet. And for Flawless 7, we have Eoz, Maxi, Hassie, Koala, Pistol, Rupert, Sad Betchy, Mati or Machi, and Splicken with their best map on Bank. Definitely some more interesting maps. And speaking of maps, let's see what we got going on there. What are we going to be playing here? Gonna be possibly a bad day for Flawless 7, as we will be playing on Border, their worst map. But despite that, still 100% vote for Flawless 7. Maybe mob mentality really having it out in favor of Flawless 7. Or it could be that Flawless 7 just really is built different. Because so far from the votes, everyone says that Flawless 7 is destined to take us out, or take out this win in flawless fashion. I think we even had someone, when we posted our matches on Twitter, go and say that they're going to win this out 7-2, which that is a dramatic round differential. And that will definitely solidify them in first place if that ends up being the case. But of course, that remains to be seen, because once again, remember, this is statistically Flawless 7's worst map according to the data that we currently have. So not everything is a guarantee. We could just see the upset of the season, at least before the Stage Cup. Who knows? I mean, EOS is, or Aspire by EOS is not that far behind, only in fourth place, right behind Windows Key. So I mean, yeah, don't get me wrong, Flawless 7 is still a heavy hitter here, but nothing is quite impossible here. And we'll see just that in just a moment here. Believe we should be ready in just a moment to actually go straight into this match. Yep, got a few more minutes, getting the teams ready to go, and we'll be starting that match very promptly. Now, I've heard a lot about Flawless 7. I've heard they're a very strong team, good reputation. Don't think their roster has changed too much, if I'm correct there. But regardless, you guys clearly seem to think that they've got it on top. I mean, with such a heavy vote. Honestly, I'm kind of having a feeling that you guys are kind of cooking there. But I'm gonna give Inspire the benefit of a doubt here, because it's still the weakest map of Flawless 7, and this is not a standard map by any means. This is usually a map where you want to pull out strats. You've got to be a lot more elaborate. The team coordination needs to be way tighter. It's a smaller space. Even though they did rework it to make it a bit bigger, it's still a pretty small map, and it's still considerably tough to navigate. And that initial entry is a make or breaker, especially if you've got cross angles out the wazoo designed to just cut the attackers off before they even have a chance to get in. But with that being said, looks like we are ready. We're going to be heading straight into the map here for Border, unless we get kicked out again. Thanks, Ubi. So give us just a second. We're going to load back up, and then we will be proceeding with the bans. Go over a little bit of ban predictions here. I guarantee Solus is going to be banned. I don't think we're going to see anything super specific here, even though both these teams have pretty decent standing, and both of them so far are still secured for stage 2, as unfortunately for our next group up or a match after this, both of them currently have 0 points thus far. So as long as Aspire really doesn't fumble the bag hard here, should still be pretty comfortably in the 4th place position. So I think we will still see some pretty standard bans. Soulless, Azami, the things of the like. Probably, actually, I'm gonna be honest. It's been a minute. That's really the only bands I can say for sure. Maybe a Fenrir, but otherwise, the attack, I would say it's a bit of a toss up, except for probably Ying. We've been seeing Ying banned left and right, time and time again. And with that, we will see a Monty ban, which I can't say that's exactly off the table for me. I mean, that makes sense. I mean, the archive rush is a known and very, very, very annoying problem to deal with, especially when you start off on Armory, which is generally the safest site that you can pick to play on. So, not exactly the most surprised by that. It makes sense, but we will see a Flores ban, which definitely not against that. I can see it. I haven't been seeing as much Flores plays as of recent, but he does have a lot of that potential to easily dismantle a lot of these utility heavy setups that you tend to see on a site like or a map like Border. So can't blame them for that, for making that call. There's the Solus ban. But yeah, makes sense that Flawless 7 would want to get rid of something like that. Looks like they're going to be going more for a lockup, anchor heavy kind of composition, which leads me to believe they're going to be setting up some very or not precise, but very elaborate line of sights setups. But that remains to be seen. The Valkyrie band, definitely a bit interesting. I wouldn't say it's a surprising band, but I definitely was not fully anticipating, or well, maybe not so much anticipating, but expecting it. And we'll even have Keeks on Pulse as well. Now that is something that is sorely missed, at least for me. I love seeing a Pulse because one thing that Pulse can do very well that a lot of people miss is that he's very good for identifying rotates. If you are worried about someone just kind of coming out, creeping through the back, creeping through somewhere, Pulse is very, very strong for giving a heads up of, hey, we've got someone coming over here. Hey, we've got someone doing this, right? That is what makes him so strong, is he shuts down that potential to be caught off guard by positions that you wouldn't typically expect. And that's what makes him so powerful. And it's this fact that is heavily, heavily underrated of him. Because with Soulless, you can kind of do the same thing, but it's very easy to bait that out by sending a lot of utility one way and then slowly walking up completely out of the way. It's very easy to bait a Soulless out by doing that, by sending your electronics the other way. Pulse, you can't do that. Where you are is where you are. And I'm kind of excited to see what impact that is going to have. And of course, we will be starting off over by Armory. That's pretty much the standard quote here on Border. What do you expect? We will have Rupert on the Ying here, naturally, as a result of her still being up on the board here. We'll also have Carol on the Clash. Definitely seeing some very unorthodox composition, to say at least. But I'll tell you what, that is going to be a problem. Oh, here we go. We definitely got that rush coming in. There comes the Ying Candelas. Smoke about to go down. Doors breaking down. Smoke's down. Got a lot going on. Nitro going out. Not going to connect. Matt going to be able to catch Casper. Hookah nitroing out one pistol guy. Plant now coming down. Carol going to be able to spot him. Tries to pistol whip him. But bet she able to pull out the LMG just in time to take out Carol. Maddie getting clicks as well. The shots coming out. The execute going very well in favor of S7. All it takes is a little bit of the calm before the storm, with Maxi able to finish it out in a ballistic fashion. There it is, folks. The round 1 Armory Rush that we know and, for at least for me, absolutely hate. Not because I hate watching it, just because I hate dealing with it. Poor Spire by EOS. They were not ready for that whatsoever. Now moving on to the second round. Spire clearly shaken by what had just happened there. I'm going to be moving on to first floor, but we still have the Ying on the board. So I don't think F7 is entirely letting go of that explosive, if I can't see anything, you can't see anything mentality. However, Casper does have Warden on the board, which is going to make that not as viable. But honestly, you know what you do about that? you kill Casper. You do that, and Rupert is free to reign supreme, which I feel like if F7 gets a hint through proper droning that he's there and Casper is roaming, you can guarantee they're going to be investing very heavily to clear him out by all means. So I feel like if Spire plays this right, they're going to provide plenty of means for Warden to get out alive through hatch breaks and other things like that if he so commits to that, which so far still being above is a possibility that he will commit to that. Having a bit of a vertical set presence here, one over by office side, one by armory, and you got one still by top metal stairs. So it does look like they will be going for that. But if F7's really feeling a little bit risque here, they could definitely just absolutely ignore all that and just bum rush first floor, which could be a bit difficult for Casper to get to in time. So it just really comes down to what F7 is feeling like doing here, because obviously they're the ones in control, already getting some serious damage onto Casper here. Was that a spawn peak? I don't know, but he is going to be able to catch Maxi out here, able to take that initial entry denial and still alive. However, they do not have Ying anymore. I want to mention that switch happened, but Casper now being down, that's going to allow Betchy to put those plant smokes down. Rupert able to catch clicks on so early on through the shield. Nice shot. Carol able to deny the one pistol guy. A lot of shots coming out, a lot of denial. We're going to see a fallback now over to first floor. They are going to have that second floor control, but with Ram and Fuse gone, that is a lot of vertical, what I like to call crippling vertical presence now gone. They do still have Buck and IQ on the board here, but that is nothing in comparison to the sheer oppressiveness that Ram and Fuse offer, who are both unfortunately gone for F7 here, but we will still see the vertical full underswing, and with no nitros on the board for Aspire, contesting that vert is going to be difficult for them, as they're just going to have to hold out from longer angles as much as possible. And with hatch open by office side, could provide a potential opening here if they are able to take Hookah here, which seems she's pretty well aware that, watching for that hatch, but considering how corner of a position is to contest hatch, I don't think it's going to be going very well for him. Still continuing the vert. Ripper going to be dropping down, getting ready to do possibly a hop in here. Doesn't have the fuser though. That's going to be Betchy still above. No one trying to rotate out. They do have a lot of information out on them. Red ping's going out. They know pretty much exactly where these teams are playing from. Trying to go for more of a horizontal extended component. Trying to catch a zombie here. However, instead, Carol will be able to catch Betchy out. It's going to be fuser drop. Take Rupert out in the same breath for a triple kill. And now it's going to be all up to Matchy here. Going to be able to take Carol, but now still stuck with a 1v2. Going to have to grab the fuser and make something happen here. Going to go for the drop, but still has to grab the fuser at some point. Able to take Fixture as well for a triple kill of his own. And now it's all up to this. 1v1, 15 seconds. Plant now going down. Hookah going to have to go all the way past the gridlocks to get to him. But in that amount of time, we'll be able to get the plant down, but still in close proximity. Watching for the yell stairs. A's going to be able to spot Hookah here. You're going to try to go for that pre-fire. Maggie holding a bit of an aggressive angle here. Going to try to throw a shot to bait him out. Tries to go for the window hop. What are you doing? That doesn't pay off at all, as Hookah is able to just catch on his tail and catch him on the dropout from the window. What was that? No. Throw a flash. Give yourself some kind of cover, something. Hey, good try, but not the play that I would have went for here, as Frost is able to save that round, which wasn't looking too hot from how the way Matchy was going ballistic there with that triple kill, but still able to shut him down and give Aspire their first round, although very, very, very closely. Now we're going to be moving on to Armory and Archives. Don't know if we're going to see a similar setup from F7, but I don't think Aspire is hearing it, though. We have Kicks on the Nitro. We have Hookah on the Nitro with the Mirror. Casper on the Warden. They are not going to let F7 do that again, but they may have overcompensated with their composition, because do you see that kind of rush setup from F7? I don't see it. Sure, you've got Betchy on the I'm drawing a blank here. Who is that? His character. On the shield person. And then you have Rupert on Ying, but I don't think that's gonna be Osa. That's who it is. Osa. Holy moly. Max level gamer rod, ladies and gentlemen. I've been playing too much Wizard 101. Yes, I said Wizard 101. Do not judge. It's a great game. But anyway, going to be starting off here. Kick's going to be getting some good information on what initial push is. Not spotting anyone. Oh, there's one spot, two spots. They're going to get an idea that they're not really going for that kind of rush, at least not anymore. And that's going to be very useful information for adjusting their positioning and not investing so heavily into archives, which we can clearly see so far as there's not, or maybe not, is there's still a lot of hovering around there. If I were me, I would start kind of adjusting based off the information. If it's too late, it is, as Matchy able to get a nice shot onto Fixture there. Now already an early pick. However, Matchy going to be trying to clear out this pulse here. Will be successful, able to take that as well. A great call based off of the first round armory and the composition they had. Still learning even though they won. However, Hookah still catching up below to take Matchy down from below. Usually don't see a roaming mirror, but there it is. Hookah able to take one here and shut that down just a little bit, but still not looking too good here as they do now have a foothold. The Mira's now coming down. Hookah able to take another, but the shutdown onto Casper from Rupert. Hookah still trying to roam to get even more control, but the Nomad going to go off, giving away her position. Still trying to get some kind of impact out of that, but again, take a lot of damage and be forced to fall out. Trying to hide in the smoke. Carol trying to just hang on for dear life, but with the low HP she has, I don't think it's going to go well, especially now with Hookah being down. It's all out to Carol, staying in a corner. I don't think this is gonna go very well for her. Everyone just wrapping around her, and like a bunch of snakes coiling around a helpless animal, they sink their teeth in, and she's done for. Flawless 7 taking that round in rapid fashion, with Aspire helpless to be able to deny just the sheer ferocity that F7 is offering here. So far, it looks like that 7-2 call might be accurate, as Aspire rarely struggles to just shut down that execute. Sometimes they can get a drop on them on the initial entry denial, like they did that one round, but when they don't, good lord, do they not at all. As we clearly saw there with the sheer amount of it, or yeah, with just the way that execute went down. Aspire just could not do anything to that, no matter how hard they tried. And they will not be going armory. I wouldn't either. You know, they didn't even go for a rush and still were able to win that out with such violent, sudden, momentous force that F7 did. I think they're making the right call here. We are going to see Casper on the cap can. Again, making some very interesting picks for operators, but could potentially pay off here, considering how F7 likes to kind of waltz in at times. Could potentially catch someone like Matchy here if done at the, or placed properly here. Gonna be trying to more stall that control or room control rather than actually outright denying the plant, which I think is going to be the good call here, considering the situation and how they've dealt with the first 2 rounds. But anyway, with that being said, now down, or still 5v5 so far, no picks yet. Looks like we're going to be going for a full top down from F7 here, though we could see possibly yet another drop here, but that remains to be seen. Holding diffuser outside, probably for the better. Going to be able to spot that player over by office side. So far, not able to pick them out, but they are clasping down on that position. Might be starting to look at the point of possibly falling back here. However, Betchy will be able to take Carol. It's going to be too late here. Now we're going to see some swings. Try to get some impact here. Casper will be able to take one with kicks. Able to get Mixie as well. Still struggling to get that vertical control. F7 slowly dropping over time as Aspire succeeds in holding that vertical. Now falling back after doing their damage with a favorable matchup. However, the one pistol guy still up on the board with Fuse as well as Matchy on the buck. Still a lot of potential for damage here. So not exactly out of the woods for Aspire. And with so much time, they kind of gave it up a bit early, but it doesn't matter. is able to take another, and we still have one holding aggressively into Armory. Though the shots are going to give away the position here. The impact comes out, and it kicks with a triple kill and a 4K onto Matchy with some nasty shots with the impact and the headshot into Office side. What an absolute gunner. Spire by no means is going to let that 100% vote mean anything to them, as they're still catching up to F7 here. We could see a possible E-Wave situation, which would definitely be an upset if that were to be the case. Now moving on, we're going to be going to ventilation and workshop here, which usually that kind of happens. You know, you win all of your sites, but this is more just we really don't want to go armory, so we're going to go clear out all the first floor sites, and if we have to, we'll see what we can do. And I think that's pretty much all they can afford. But I have to admit, though, the way that Aspire held off F7 by instead of going for outright plant denial and opting instead for control denial, I think is such a smart play here, because you consider how F7 has been handling things up to this point, taking that control and just coming at their throats with full momentum, no stopping whatsoever. And the aim that they have, great aim too, gunfighting maniacs F7 is. But Spires recognized this pattern and has been able to make them have to work for those kills instead of just taking a straight gunfight in their favor with pinches and whatnot. And that is where F7 is starting to struggle here, because they are just not able to push past that. They're going to have to play it a bit slower, a bit more tactfully, and drop that presumption that they're just going to be able to get all that free control that they've been able to. But perhaps that could change if Aspire just decides to kind of fall back, considering the violent exchange that came out. However, we will see Matchy gonna be able to get it down here, trying to finish him off with an impact. Not gonna be able to go through. Casper able to take Maxi out as well, still maintaining that control, with Future able to get Betchy out as well. Now down to a 3 or 2v5. Aspire on the initial entry denial, going absolutely ballistic here. Able to catch one pistol, guys, well, from security. Oh my gosh. The F7's done for this round. I don't know how Ripper's going to come back from this situation. Aspire's initial entry denial just being so deadly here. F7 just doesn't know what to do. They are getting absolutely crushed here. And the question that I pose to you, viewer, is what does F7 or F7 come or go from here? Because they had such a good lead in a violent fashion. Well done play shot on Casper to finish that out, by the way. But they were able to push in with violent force and just force their way in. But now that there's a blockage from them getting that free roam control that they took advantage of, F7 just doesn't know what to do right now, as Aspire now has the lead instead of struggling to deal with F7. I don't know what F7 needs to do here other than just drop this kind of aggression that they're trying to go for, this brute force style approach that is clearly not paying off at all. I'm not really sure what they need to do here, but whatever it is, it needs to be a drastic change to their standard operating procedures when it comes to attacking, because right now it's not working at all. And Aspire showing no signs of stopping. Although, I'm a little bit concerned about their composition, though, because we've seen that is what works so well for them, is denying that map control. And right now, we're looking at a very heavy retake kind of setup. We've got 2 Nitros from Future and Carol. We have Wamais to hold on to a shield. I don't know. This is not really a composition that's going to hold out to straight gunners. And it's not like they're just mindlessly waltzing in. That's not the case. And I feel like that's what they're kind of banking on. And I think that's a really bad call here. But who knows? I could be wrong. Maybe they are just kind of mindlessly waltzing in. And they could get a lot of impact out of the Frost, the Cap can, the Goyo and just stalled them out, if not straight up down and kill them. But I feel like that's not going to be the case here. Carol going to take some massive damage from Rupert, able to take him out very early on, trying to peek from the door or at least rotate there, but again, to get caught out so early on. Betchy with the shield already out. The impact breaking that shield very early on. Still have one Talon shield remaining there. So far, we're not even a minute into the round. We're already seeing walls get popped open. Starting to see already an early pick onto Carol here. I think F7 might have what it takes to pick it back up. They do still have one kind of lurking in an off position here. I'm wondering what they're going to try to do there. Just trying to deny that security presence. But right now, Aspire's not really doing a good job of that. Trying to branch out. Casper does pick up one pistol guy, but with the walls already open, he's did his job. Betchy going to be able to get clicks or kicks as a result. Still looking a little bit scary for Aspire here as F7 is able to keep their control and Aspire with no real way to contest it, especially now with the kind of execute that they have. It's looking like they're going to get a clean execute here in just a second, just waiting for that timing. The nitro goes off, not going to catch anyone. To peek, doing some damage onto Rupert, not going to go through. There's the fire, cutting off Casper here. As the plant now goes down, trying to just get any kind of damage here. Not going to be successful here. The impact doing some damage onto Matchy. Betchy down as well. However, Matchy will be able to take Hookah Aspire. Casper going to get Betchy as well. They're both trying to get aggressive here to try to make something happen. Going to be able to down one, but not the other as Rupert holds the corner, taking Future out. And like I said before, F7 able to win this out. I really don't know what triggered that composition change from Aspire, but that was just not the play. They had the prime opportunity to take a 4-2 lead, but then they went for a dramatic composition change that honestly wasn't necessary. And F7 naturally was able to abuse that. And they even went Armory. Although I can't understand them trying to do something a lot more different. Being stuck on Armory is not ideal at all. It is a very unfortunate situation. They had to try something different, but still, I feel like if they try to hang on to that control denial and make a greater emphasis on vertical from below to punish that foot push into Armory, I feel like we would have seen a much different story, especially if you're holding out by waiting room, run out, throw the nitro, onto the balcony. You can get some real damage there, but we just didn't see that happen. And that's really unfortunate for Aspire as they now lose that lead, evening it out to a 3-3 on the swap with F7 starting off onto Armory Lockers. Going to be going for a bit of a stall heavy composition here with one pistol guy on the Cade, Matchy on the Goyo, and Betchy on the Mute, putting a huge emphasis on stalling that breach wall from getting opened as much as possible. Though how effective that is really depends, honestly. They do have kicks on Zero, but he's not going to be able to get that through. Electricity is going to shut that down. They do have Future on the Thatcher, but here's the thing that I'm not understanding here. Where's the hard breacher? Sure, you have kicks on the little hard breach charge. That is so easily trickable by Cade, jammable by Betchy. I don't think they're going to get this Armory wall open. Not bringing a hard breach, I think, is going to be a major mistake from Aspire here, because if they don't get that wall open, they're going to have to go through Archives, which is doable with Carol on the Ying, but considering they're pushing in from first floor head on, I don't think that's going to be the case here. However, Hookah will be able to catch Rupert here, taking an early peek. F7 does not really need to play aggressive here. If they understood the situation that they were in, they would not be playing like this. But unfortunately, it's pretty easy to assume that you're going to have a hard breacher. And maybe that's what Aspire's trying to do here. They know that they're going to assume that there's a hard breacher and play around that, and they're taking advantage of that and opting for canceling out roam presence with a Zero instead of another hard breacher. And we do see that with them holding out security. Going to be able to immediately establish that security control, holding out for that rotate in case someone pushes out there. Not going to be too much presence. Throwing out a cam. Carol going to take some damage here, trying to hold out onto West Stairs there. So far, not much happening. They're going to go out. 2 picks from Casper and Future, respectively. Maggi taking some heavy damage here. Gunfight after gunfight, not going so favorably for F7 here. Able to take 1, but the refrag promptly after, along with the series of Ying Candelas. Now up to 1 pistol guy. Going to be able to take 1. Looking for another here. Not going to be able to secure it. And as they're all pushed by opposite side, this is still very doable. But with the sheer amount of intel that is out there, 1 pistol guy has nowhere to hide. Maybe to run, but the nade will catch him before he even gets his feet off of the ground there. A very nice nade from Hookah for Aspire to take the first round on the half. So far, Aspire taking a completely different approach from F7 and how they get these attacks down. But I must say, these attacks have been exactly what I expect from teams playing at a higher level. They're fast, they're violent, they're effective, they're coordinated, they're pinching, they're cutting off. It's exactly what you need to do here. And Aspire is giving F7 no grounds here, especially with their initial entry denial going so abysmally, losing 2 pretty much out the gate before even, and actually no, they pretty much lost almost their entire team before any kind of execution even occurred onto site. They way overheld Office, and that cost them their lives and ultimately the rounds. Like I said, just a little bit more information about what Aspire was bringing there, and I think F7 could have comfortably sit and anchored and forced some nasty one or funnels that Aspire would not have been able to fight through because of how much of effective gunfighters that F7 is. But that wasn't the case now, was it? And with that, we'll be moving on. Going to be going back up to Armory, which I don't really think is the smart choice here. But if they recognize what Aspire's doing, having breach weak compositions, which I think they are spotting that, as they still have the 1 pistol guy, but Maxi no longer on the mute, opting instead for the Frost with Betchy on the Aruni. So still going for that kind of that execute denial with Fenrir or Rupert on Fenrir as well. So far, it's still pretty quiet. Not a whole lot happening here. Get a lion scan, trying to make that initial push in. The nade. Oh, that might be heavy damage onto Rupert, but unfortunately, he just barely survives here. Still able to walk away, but not without substantial damage there. Another lion scan going to come out, trying to get a good initial entry, not losing any lives, but they're still losing a lot of time here. But there it is, the initial entry. Casper able to take Betchy with that established security control. They still got 1 below that they're going to have to deal with. Future taking a bit of damage here, calling a lion scan as well. So far, not a lot of heavily contested grounds here, as they do have the south front here, but no actual move into office side or anything of the sort. So far, just waiting for an opening to collapse in. We do see some movement slowly trying to collapse onto Maxi into Hall here, but they're still Matchy holding by office. If he plays this passive enough, can really do some damage here. And there's the swing. Maxi got to be able to take care of, but the prompt refrag looking for another. Going to get caught out. Future getting taken out. The pinch starting onto Matchy. However, Matchy will be able to connect onto kicks here, but will not be able to take out Casper as he secures himself a triple kill with that. Having that offense control. There's that overcompensating for room denial that I was talking about before. 45 seconds left on the clock, and 1 pistol guy is still alone yet again, not able to finish out from the absolute gunner that is Casper. Didn't unfortunately stand a chance against him, as that FMG 9 and its high RPM proves all that he needs in order to take himself yet another round. Spire's got a keeper here, as he is putting it, or she is putting in the work here. Now, with F7 actually losing right now with a 2-round disadvantage. Yeah, we're definitely looking at an upset here. This is one for the books, ladies and gentlemen. F7 is just struggling. They are way overcompensating with the aggression. If it was paying off, it would be one thing, but Aspire is taking their time and making sure that F7 is not able to catch them out at a bad opportunity. They did their due diligence. And keep in mind, Goya or Machi had a lot of potential to do a good amount of damage. And he did do some good damage. Do not get me wrong. But he could have shut down the entire front on his own if Aspire did not properly clear him out. But fortunately, they did. Well, maybe not so much cleared him out properly with intel, but they were able to position themselves in order to get that refrag because he was not going anywhere. And he was stuck, and clearly that showed in him still losing that office control, despite putting out such a putting up such a fight. This is what F7 keeps doing wrong. They are putting way too much stakes onto these exterior rooms to the sites, and it's costing too much. They're not playing off of their setups to deny. You have denial heavy compositions, but you're not using that to your advantage. And I feel like if they keep this up, this is going to lose them the game. They are swinging themselves to death right now. That is exactly how I would explain F7's situation here. They're good gunners, but they are poor fortifiers, if that makes sense. So far, pretty quiet once again. Aspire not giving F7 any grounds. However, F7 still trying to force it anyway. Able to take future here, trying to possibly take another. They are starting to fully commit to that initial entry denial instead of, you know, putting all their lives towards the end. With Rupert able to catch Casper as well on the run out. Going to be able to almost catch security here. However, Machi will be able to take Hookah out. Now down to a 5v2. The initial entry for Aspire, a complete disaster. The drop down from Rupert, able to take Carol. Now it's all up to Kicks here. He doesn't exactly have a lot to work with in this situation. Down in security room. They know where he is. The impact comes out. Collapsing down. One swing, two swings. Too much for Kicks. And how could it not be? F7, they're learning from their mistakes. If they want to continue to commit down this path, why not take the fight to them immediately in the initial entry denial? And they did just that. And Aspire, they were not ready for it. But maybe there will be next time. Maybe there will be. We'll see what kind of composition they pick to adapt to it. I mean, obviously the gears are turning in their heads right now, as a lot of them still haven't picked their ops. So they're definitely trying to figure out how they can counter this new adapted aggression of Flawless 7, which is now orienting towards aggressive initial entry denial and borderline run out spawn peeking, which we did see that from, I believe it was Maxi earlier in the round, from Capsy earlier, or Maxi, I believe it was, on that run out onto, or from Break Room. So if they can keep that up, and if Spire struggles to punish that, F7 has a very good opportunity to bring this back. I mean, they only got one round to go until it's back up to 5-5. They just have to properly funnel their aggression. It's almost like, you know, taking someone with anger issues, right? That's an MMA boxer, and then, you know, kind of pointing at which person to beat the hell out of, right? That's kind of how I think of F7, right? They're that MMA fighter with anger issues, and they're just not really pointing the target correctly. But once they do, my gosh, does Aspire not just struggle to deal with it. However, Aspire does have the ability to play it slow and let F7 swing themselves to death. They didn't do that well last round because they got a little too comfortable with how F7 was just kind of holding out and playing to the death over by office side, but they're not doing that anymore. So Spire's gonna have to figure something out here. And it clearly shows with how they're taking this very slow here, holding those crosses, holding those runouts, trying to make absolutely sure that they're not put in a precarious situation here. Because this is one of those maps where you can do that very easily. Run out. And we already see Machi trying to find a way to do that, trying to open that door possibly, but with how many people are out there, Aspire is anticipating it, and Machi knows that it's going to fall off. Right now, we could potentially see, with this how Aspire is holding off so far, able to get into the building, get their initial entry into the building. We could possibly see another situation where F7 swings themselves to death here, as they're playing very, very passive here, giving a lot of ground to Aspire as they now have balcony, break room, security. It's not looking too good right now. We could possibly see a swing to the death situation here. Casper going to be able to spot one in office. Could be prepping that nade. Goes for the nade throw. Is it going to catch, though? It does not. Throws a little too deep. They know Matchy is close here, but Carol getting spotted. Will be able to take one, but not without a refrag from the one pistol guy by Fountainside. Gonna even those numbers out just a little bit. Still have that control, but not by much, as they are now over by Fountain. There's 1v1 going for the Fountain swing, able to catch one, almost a refrag, but Maxi not able to successfully catch that refrag. Yet another pick. Maxi able to take Casper as well. Betchy taking another, but not without kicks. Able to get Maxi out. Does have Fountain control, but now gonna have to make their way into sight. It's all up to Betchy now, but with still relatively full HP, both nades expended. Pretty much all utility down except for one more stim from Hookah. This is looking still very doable, especially with a Nitro still on the board. If he plays this patiently and doesn't swing himself to death here and puts himself in a refrag situation, because remember, he has the SMG-11. That's not an easy weapon to work with when it comes to a refrag here. Should be in a good situation. Still playing this very patiently. Aspire waiting for the swing from Betchy. They have a pretty good idea where he's coming from, but Kicks now going for the plant, pops his head open, flicks onto Betchy, throws out the Nitro, and he's able to catch him, taking both for a well-placed retake for F7. There it is, the calm before the storm, and Betchy is the perfect representation of just that. Such an outstanding play from the disgusting flick to the perfect follow-up afterwards with the Nitro. Aspire was just not ready for that. They knew where he was, but he knew exactly how to handle that situation. Knew the kit that he had with him and was able to do exactly what needed to be done. It's like he's hearing the very words I'm saying right now for how to engage that situation. Done brilliantly. And with that, F7 now back on the board, 5-5 here. They may have gotten their rhythm back. Looking a little bit scuffed there with how Maxi struggled to get some of those refrags there, but Betchy was able to pull through, fortunately for them. We're going to be now moving on to Bathroom and Tellers here. Right now, still looking very close here. Way closer than pretty much anyone really could have anticipated. We were looking at possibly a blowout here, hence the name Flawless 7, but this game has been anything but flawless for S7 here, as right now they're kind of struggling to, you know, get a lead here. So it's tough. It is very tough for S7. Wow, very aggressive from Maxi here, holding right by the door. No one really seems to know from Aspire, but I guess he's getting a bit nervous, slowly backing up. Drone is going to spot him, but does he know, though? We'll see the Bravo capture the drone, or the cam. We'll shoot that cam out. Good for him to spot that out. I can't tell you how many people miss that. It's ridiculous. But regardless, still spot understanding what just happened, falling back, not giving a free life to Aspire here. Still kind of doing that calm before the storm, doing it quite well. Maxi, you know, had that potential to blow like a grenade, but just chose to keep the fuse in for a little bit longer for a later time here. So far, a minute passed. Spire trying to play the safe here, but it doesn't matter. Maxi's still able to flush out kicks here very aggressively. But we will see Future go down as well by Matchy. F7 playing very aggressive on the initial entry. Denial with a double kill, but Casper will be able to shut Matchy down here. 4v2, not looking too good right now, as they have been devastated by F7's infamous aggression here. The second they walked into break room, all hell broke loose. And of course, F7 being the gunning demons that they are, come out on top. Spire still had the fuser in hand, 2 smokes, 2 grenades. They have plenty of utility here, but they still have a long ways to go. Looks like they're gonna be going for a bit of vertical. They do have a ping on exactly where one of them is. Gonna go for the swing, and Pistol Guy has no idea what's happening. Back turned it all, has no idea what was about to come there. Taking an easy pick for them, just making the situation a little bit better for Aspire here. Still got some ways to go. 55 seconds on the clock, still above don't really have a way to open hatch. They're right now just trying to bank on getting as much impact they can from above before dropping down. They do have one player kind of holding off at a longer angle on horizontal, so there's still a good opportunity. And here comes the drop from Casper here, now pushing into data room. And here comes another drop, and they're now into workshop, but they still need to get into bathroom. They may have made some major grounds here, displacing F7 a little bit, but it's not going to be enough. They still have more to go here. Max is going to be able to catch Casper here. The door swing, the double swing to ensure that Aspire never had a chance of breaking through that funnel. F7 now back in the lead. All right. Actually, I didn't even realize this. We're now at match point. This is all F7 now. Ventilation and workshop. Could this be their golden ticket? They have found the formula. They have found the secrets, the secret recipe. Mr. Krabs' secret recipe to winning this. And it is that initial entry denial. No matter how slow, no matter how patient Aspire plays here, F7 just always seems to find a way to capsize Aspire into turning the situation ugly before they even have a chance to, one, realize what the heck just happened, and two, where do we go from here? And with how much time Aspire is losing before that inevitable crash comes down, it creates this situation where you're stressed for time, you're at a major disadvantage, and what do we really do there? So Aspire, if they want to have a chance of going overtime, they got to make a decision here, and a very important one. Do we say screw it, try to go aggressive, give ourselves more time, or do we try to double down on playing it slow by all means in a desperate attempt that maybe we can catch F7 off guard, or at the very least just be able to get into the building without getting clamped down, right? That's kind of the question that they have to answer here, and it seems like so far they could be doubling down on playing this very passive. However, so far it looks like it might not be paying off. Carol already taking a considerable amount of damage with the diffuser in hand. They do got one over by windows here. Intel getting shot down. A little bit of less options to Aspire here. However, Hookah will be able to take out Maxi here. Situation looking just a little bit better. The Nitro going down, trying to catch the Repel player. Not going to be able to, as they're able to swiftly move out before things get a bit ugly for them, or at least lose another player. So far, 1 minute passed, one player passed as well. Looking a little bit better for Aspire to go into overtime here, but still playing slow, still losing a lot of time. But the important thing is they are starting to get into the building slowly but surely, and with no loss of life, they have vertical set up. They're in a pretty good position to win this if F7 continues to swing themselves to death, which it looks like that might be the case, as Rupert taking a lot of damage. Matchy trying to run up to metal stairs, able to catch one, gonna be able to take Carol out, trying to retake the vertical here, taking a little bit of damage to the gridlock, getting caught off and slowed down. Betchy also trying to take some damage as well. Kicks trying to find one, but the fallback already happens, but not before he turns his back and gets down in the process. The vertical retake proving too much for Aspire here. The Nitro to finish him off. Now down to a 2v4 as the retake is successful for S7 here. Waiting for them to just get a little bit too comfortable here, hoping that F7 will just kind of play it safe, but they don't do that at all. Gonna be able to spot one down by metal stairs. Not able to catch anyone, unfortunately, except Rupert. Instead, gonna be able to catch Fixture there. Now down to a 4v1. All up to Hookah. We're going to see an aggressive push-up from Matchy. Hookah going to be able to catch him. 40 seconds remaining. There's still one above. Going to be dropping down, it would appear. Now 35 seconds left on the clock. Hookah still paranoid that there's someone above with her, trying to just keep her alive because this is their only option. 25 seconds left on the clock. Does not have diffuser, still has 3 flashbangs and all of her utility. She's going to win this out. She's going to have to make it count, but the problem is they don't have diffuser right now. It's still left above. She's going to have no option but to hunt them down. But with one pistol guy by metal, he shuts down Hookah before he can even take his first engagement. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, you called it. Flawless 7 is your victor, but by a much closer margin than I think a lot of people would have anticipated here, ending up on a 7-5. Who could have expected that, honestly? Definitely a more interesting result than what a lot of us could have expected. Spire certainly putting up a bit of a fight here, but not a fight that was enough. Not at all, as F7's unrelenting force, the unstoppable object, was too much for Aspire, and it clearly showed. Once they were able to figure out that they were swinging themselves to death, they turned that around, made themselves into the calm before the storm, and boy, was that storm violent. And even if they wanted to go out swinging off the gate, they made sure that Aspire paid for even trying, daring to walk into the building in any way, shape, or form. And that proved to be just enough for S7. Although Spire for sure put up one hell of a fight because when they were able to get their execute down, S7 oftentimes collapsed as a result. But F7 just proved too aggressive for Aspire to be able to come back from. All right. With that being said, our next matchup is going to be Empire Gaming versus Evo 5 Esport for our last matchup here. They're both in a bit of a tough situation right now, and I'll kind of go over why in just a second. But before that, we're going to go on break, and I will see you guys in just a minute. We'll be right back, all right? Hello, welcome back, everyone. We are now at our final match for the night. That's going to be Empire Gaming versus Evo 5 Esport. One thing that's going to be important for this match is that both of these teams need a win here. Let's take a look at that standing real quick. I told you I'd explain what's going on, and I'll show you. Unfortunately for both Empire and Evo 5, they're not doing the hottest right now with a negative 11 differential for Empire Gaming and a negative 19 differential for Evo 5. In this grouping, they have struggled significantly. So if they can take a win here, that is going to at least give them a fighting chance to take Aspire by EOS's slot, as they did lose their match and they're now at 6 points. However, they've still got a very long way to go in order for that to be possible, because except for them, every team, except with the exception of Flawless 7 up to this point, has 2 wins. So they're going to have to really put the work in going forward. Otherwise, they're gone. But I do want to say an apology for some of the technical difficulties we're having. You might notice some things are kind of wonky right now with the elements right now. That's because we're having some issues with our overlay with OPL. So if anything looks a bit off, that is why that will be the case. But despite that, we have some adjustments thanks to our fantastic production team that's able to still give us some good graphics here. And let's take a look at some of those, shall we? Let's go over the team cards here. Starting off with Empire Gaming, we have Forest Ghost, Hydex, Scripps, Perfect, Moritz, Sanity, Ruffle, Zin, and Rixie. And their best map is going to be Border with Chalet as their worst. Moving on to Evo 5 Esport, we have Sweden as the captain, Sether, Tumor, Shady, Curved, Sinon, Fixie, Dale, and Vexa, with their best map being Bank. Which, how does that work if they've lost both of their matches? I guess that must be prior data from other seasons. But regardless, that's the information we have so far. Like I said, both teams need to win this, or there's a very high likelihood they're not going to make it into stage 2, unfortunately for them. Going into the map bans, let's take a look at what we're going to be playing next. Looks like we're going to be on the good old classic Oregon Borgen once again. And honestly, yeah, I expected that, because when you have two teams that are really kind of struggling, you want to kind of refine your fundamentals, right? Find your coordination, find your positioning, find your team play, right? Because so far it doesn't look like those teams have it down, at least in comparison to Group B, to the rest of the teams. So having a map like this is going to be good for them because even if, you know, whichever team wins or loses, this will be a really good opportunity to learn and improve, which is absolutely what they need to do because that they're both at high risk of being eliminated here. So if not for the chance to make a comeback or at least a slight comeback, it will give them a lot of learning opportunities. So I think this will be very good for the teams regardless. So while I'm not the most excited to see Oregon once again, it's still a good opportunity for them regardless. And honestly, I really don't know who's going to win that. I don't know if we've got the predictions working for OPL, but if we do, we'll take a look at that very promptly. But I would assume this is going to be a bit more split. Unfortunately, I just got word back that we don't. So, not really sure of the predictions, although I did see a lot of you in the stream voting for, I believe it was Empire Gaming, 193,000 channel points to 141. So, you guys seem to really think that it's going to be Empire Gaming here who pulls that off. We'll see if that is going to be the case. But either way, I'm going to be calling it close regardless. As far as match predictions concerned, we do yeah. As far as the community vote goes, from what I'm seeing, we do have that pulled up now. I apologize for the wait. We've got 63% in favor of Empire Gaming. So it does seem that a lot of you really are kind of biting down on Empire Gaming winning this. Though I'm not too familiar with either of the teams, so I can't really say for sure which one's going to come out on top. All I know is that both of these teams really need a win here. So, unfortunately, we're not going to see any strats pulled out. I would have half expected, when you're low in standing, just trying to build yourself back up, you would start pulling out of your playbook. But it doesn't look like that's going to be the case here, unfortunately. Possibly later on in their stage one matchups, if there's more, they will be able to do that. But for the time being, sorry, runny nose. That is not going to be the case. But right now, it looks like both of the teams are almost ready. Just give a little bit more time for that. We'll be moving on to that match as well. But yeah, I mean, there's really not a whole lot to say about this specific matchup beyond just what I've already said before. Best of luck to both teams, but I'm worried about them going forward because yeah, it's not close. Like you have this massive gap of 2 wins and then you have 1 win and yeah, not ideal at all. Or I'm sorry, 0 wins. And it's just that's a hard gap to reach, especially if both of the lower 2 teams, Aspire and Windows Key win their matches in an upset. They could be just done for even if they win their matches. It could just be over for them on that alone. So hard to say what happens next, but both of them have some ways to go. And I would not be surprised if one of these teams ended up, due to statistics and point scoring, would be eliminated tonight. So pretty high stakes for them. They've had their time to try to catch up. And even though this is a good learning map, the time is now. They've got to, it's do or die right now. If they don't get it figured out now, I kind of doubt they'll ever get it figured out, unfortunately. So for you guys, that vote's going towards Empire Gaming, but we'll see if Avo 5 is going to be able to hang tight. Looks like teams are ready, so we are going to be going right into this match. And of course, we get kicked out again. Outstanding, Ubi. We love you. We don't. But anywho, so we'll be starting off the bands in just a second here. Good luck to the both of the teams. And with that, we're getting into our last match of the night. Load faster. There we go. There's the match. All right, getting right into it. Hopefully. But Yeah, I mean, I don't think we're gonna see much of variance when it comes to bans. I think we're gonna see about the same thing as you'd usually expect with a, a Ying ban, probably Flores, a Solus ban, Azami. I don't think we're gonna see a lot of differences in that regard. But hey, maybe I'll stand corrected. Maybe we will start to see some more individual plays. We will see a Monty ban from Evo 5 here. That's very much not what I was expecting there, to be honest. That's definitely a more interesting pick. I mean, it makes sense for basement, but otherwise, I wouldn't really be playing that. We'll see the knock ban. Makes sense for the nades. That you do see that quite a bit. Having a Nook ban. She can be quite a menace with those nades. The Solus ban as well. So far, looking pretty rudimentary here. I'm not seeing any massive differences so far. And then we'll probably finish it out with an Azami ban. And considering how fast it is, they went with the ban. It's a Mira. Never mind. So a little bit different. We've got a Mira ban. We've got a Monty ban. You don't see that quite as often. But, I mean, it still makes sense. They're still both pain in the necks. But with Mira being able to shatter them, it's really not as strong as it used to be. Now, back in the utility meta, man, I'll tell you what. Mira was a nightmare. You almost saw Twitch ban as much as Mira just to counter that. It was ridiculous. But we're not into utility meta, are we? I miss those times. But we will be starting off on second floor here for Evo 5. Setting up pretty standard composition. We will have Lima on the dock here. That's not something I would have expected to see here. But there he is. And on top of that, Vexa on the Thorn too. Not really sure what their avenue is here. They could be trying to go for a doors closing behind you kind of mentality, if that makes sense. And what I mean by that is as you move forward, the doors start closing on you. The corridor doors in front of you. You got to keep running, hoping the door in front of you doesn't close, and they just keep closing behind you. So as you move forward, you get blocked off more and more and more. And I feel like that's what Evo 5 could be trying to do here with Vexa. But that remains to be seen. We'll have to see if that's really the avenue they're trying to go for here. I don't really think that's what they're trying to go for, but if I were to use Thorn, that would be the approach I'd take. Oh, and there goes the first pick already. Rixie going to be able to take out Tumor for a very early pick from Armory. Playing a little bit aggressive there. I'm not going to be able to pay off for them. Now already a 4v4 as well. Definitely looking very interesting here, considering how we've basically just started and we're already seeing very unfavorable situations unfold here, as it is now a 4v4. Very early picks coming out here from both teams. Sorry, I'm having a little bit of a feed issue here. Joe's going to get jammed. We're going to see Rixie now starting to push in from Armory. They do have full Armory and bedroom side control here. A lot of damage coming out onto Rixie. Still alive, but kind of hurting here a little bit. Going to be getting that games room wall open with such presence and a massive push already. They're pretty much in prime position to try to plant here. However, we are going to see Perfect get down. Unfortunately, the retake starting to kick in from Evo 5, trying to recontest that space. But so far, still alive, but diffuser dropped. Now with 1 minute and 15 seconds, one of the teammates down. Buck's going to have to make a move here to try and either res or continue to get that control. However, unfortunately, Jan is going to go down here. That's going to be a triple kill, as now it is all up to pretty much a 2v2 here. Perfect and Rixie. So that's kind of what's the problem right now. It really just comes down to getting this execute going. They've got that initial control, but they have not been able to push out. Evo 5 has been retaliating very, very heavily here. And where it is, that retaliation, once again, the quad kill from Vexa. Are we going to see an ace here? I don't know, getting very aggressive, trying to peek the shield as well. She is not done. Vexa cooking up a storm here. Oh, but Perfect going to be able to shut her down. Now down to a 1v5. Antar holding very patiently as he knows that Perfect is running out of time. She's got to make a move eventually here. Flash is going to be coming out, still holding by the door. Flash not going to catch him, and the flick to shut her down as Evo 5 wins their first round so far. Very nice shot from Jaeger, and truly tragic there as we saw almost an ace just get completely shut down. That is tragic. But I mean, hey, good on you for absolutely coming out despite the situation, Vexa. But or I'm sorry, not Vexa. Perfect, but it wasn't enough, I guess. Or no, it was Vexa. I'm sorry. Yeah, she was the one almost aced. But despite not acing, they still were able to win. And that's what matters, right? Still able to win despite, not being able to ace. I was scared there because if I was Vexa, I would be pretty mad if I almost ace and then lost because I didn't kill every single player. Trust me, I know how that feels. It's very frustrating. But we're gonna now be moving on to first floor instead of basement. A very interesting moves considering a lot of these bands have been oriented towards first floor. So I find that very interesting that that's the choice that they're gonna be going for here. All right, with that, we're going to be starting off with the attack. Pretty standard compositions, nothing really standing out. However, we do have Vexa once again on the Thorn here. Seems like she really likes playing Thorn, which, hey, if you can make it work, which we clearly saw, that Vexa can make it work with a 4K, then I'm sure we'll be seeing that yet again here. Going to be going for a tower take, able to get that tower control pretty early on as it's relatively uncontested, but there is one by Blue Stairs. Not going to get spotted here. However, have one over by Kitchen Hall, stirring up a little bit of trouble here. So far, just trying to get something over by tower. However, those line of sights starting to get contested. They got a lot of hold over by tower side, trying to deny as much as possible, prevent them from being able to breach that wall. But I do want to point out, though, they do not have a thermite, which allows to open up a bigger line of sight here. So that could pose a problem for trying to push out into meeting room. However, despite that, they will be able to successfully pop that wall open here. That's just going to be one further route to be able to get the plant down. And with those holding over by tower side, if they can flush out the players that are sitting in meeting room or nearby, then that'll be it. 2 picks going to be able to come out here. That's going to be perfect. And Zin able to take Lima and Sweden out. It's going to be a devastating picks out as yet another comes out. Antar able to take Vin here. Now 4v3 to execute coming down, but with a bit of a cost here. However, with Empire Gaming still at an advantage, all they got to do is continue to hold off meeting room, and it should be able to get a secure plant. Going to be able to pop that Goyo, trying to just hold it off a little bit further. But so far, they're just playing the long game, trying to prevent them from planting. But so far, they are not able to get in quite yet. However, the initial pick from Perfect, going to be able to create that perfect opening to get the plant down. Speaking of which, there is Perfect going for the plants here. Now with their EV1 all up to the almost acer here. Going for another pick. Now down to a 2v1. Going to be able to narrowly survive the rotate here. Flash is coming out. There's another flash. Still able to survive, but doesn't survive that one. Full Whitey here. They know that she is stuck in a corner, but they don't want to give her this fight. 25 seconds left. They have the intel on where this other person is, trying to get rid of this Thatcher, but is unsuccessful as Thatcher is able to hold out Scripps long enough just to shut down Vexa. Vexa is a heavy hitter, but she can't do it all, unfortunately. And that'll be Empire's first round as well. All right, now we're going to be moving back down, or moving now down to basement here. It's going to be interesting how they try to hold this. Vexa now on an Echo. I'm telling you, Vexa always has such interesting compositions that he chooses to pick. We had the Thorn and now the Echo. I've got to admit, this is very atypical to have have Thorn this much and to be playing an operator like Echo. Now, don't get me wrong, right? Echo is not a bad operator by any means. If you have a heavy roam presence, Echo is unbelievably scary. You literally have a drone for defenders that can hide, right? Can anchor up to the roof, can concuss, and it's a real pain in the neck. And it just gives roamers free reign to do whatever they want. In the right hands, Echo is unbelievably terrifying. But when played passively, like most people do realistically, he's kind of useless. And I do stand by that. And if you're still using him for plant denial, I'm sorry, but you are playing him wrong. Stop doing that, please. All right, Florida's going to be trying to break something open here. Going to be unsuccessful because those Mia Jammers and Tar are going to be able to take Zin out very early on. That's going to be a huge loss. That soft utility destruction actually now completely gone as they don't have any further soft utility on the board here. That's going to be a major problem for Empire Gaming here as they're going to have to now figure out how to push through this utility, which the only option is walk right through it, which it's not very ideal when you're trying to get an execute going. Script's going to be able to barely spot one out, not be able to take that pick. However, Rixie will catch Sweden. Vexa going to get perfect as well, holding out that stairs angle and contesting it. The roaming Echo, I'm telling you, with those cams and that gun, it's really hard not to be a threat. However, Vexa will be able to catch out Scripts as well, making an absolute mess of the attackers here. However, not without Rixie and Moritz clapping back, able to shut Vexa down and Antar as well. The reign of terror of Vexa now gone, but still with a minute and 20 seconds remaining, they still have some ways to go, making their way down to basement here. Going to lose a drone to Amazi, but unfortunately going to be able to shoot that out before it's too late. Both of the team players very passive here, sending out a Yana clone, just trying to get some information as to where they are, but not going to be able to get too much out of that. However, there's not a lot of information on where the attackers can be pushed from, where Empire is coming from, and right, that could cost Evo 5 if they try to overcompensate, but they are starting to get an idea that they're going to be coming from blue stairs now, thanks to that Yana clone and the drone as well. Nitro's going to go out. Now, unfortunately, going to get caught by the barricade here. 37 seconds left. They still have another Nitro on the board. They're sitting comfortably here, but if they push out from Pillar, this could spell trouble for Evo 5 here. 27 seconds left. Still plenty of time to make a move here. Nitro goes out, does actually does damage to himself instead. Now trying to plant at the door, throwing the flashes, trying to create that buffer where a plant can go down. However, not gonna be able to get a pick and a second one as they're able to shut it down before they even get a chance to deny the plant. The bait and switch working perfectly, as all they had to do, make them think that they're gonna plant and then just come around and swing out. Very well done play by Empire Gaming for them to take the basement site. And now we move back onto second floor.
Attackers need to locate and defuse bombs.
All right, back onto second floor so far. We're going to have Doc once again. That's going to be Lima there playing Doc. I really don't get the composition, though. It's so weird. You have Sweden on Castle, Lima on Doc, Vexa on Thorn. Very unorthodox. That was the word I was looking for the first time I saw this. But if they can make it work, which they did last time, although very narrowly, then who's to say that they can't make it work again here? It's definitely at least going to help with denying those repels. You got to keep in mind, one thing that is a detriment to Empire Gaming the last time was that they didn't really have a lot of soft breach. However, they do have Moritz on the Zofia, which does help that situation just a little bit here. in getting all that utility out. So that castle is not going to be as effective with having Zin and Moritz with that soft breach utility. However, we will see an early nitro out from Tumor to take Rixie out. That's going to be a buck down, but honestly, that's a loss that they can absolutely afford. I mean, the loss of flashes always suck, but when you got perfect and scripts with the flashes as well, not the biggest loss on earth, but still being down a player always sucks. It's never something that you want to happen. So far, Evo 5 playing this quite slow, or sorry, Empire Gaming playing this pretty slow. Going to be focusing on the same take that they did last time, which was pushing in from bedroom. The flash is going out. That's the shield down. Sweden trying to swing to contest. They still have players over by main stairs, but I think we're going to see a matchup below. And there it is. Moritz going to be able to clear out Tumor here, and that's going to give the A-OK to push up. However, Lima's going to be able to catch it in. Perfect. Taking Sweden. They've got that. They're starting to get that control, but a lot of losses here as they still have many more funnels to push through. The danger of playing around this site with no smokes, no cutoff, it's going to be a tough take. They are able to get the wall open. Moritz going to be able to catch Vexa with the Nitro, but Lima taking perfect, and now the Nitro being dropped. It's all up to Lima as he gets a triple kill, playing off of the headshot angle, and now it is all up to Moritz, still on the repel. Had to clear from below, now coming back up. He's going to have to retake all of this space, which is contested by Lima. And he spots him. Moritz swings. So does Lima. Does a little bit of damage. Now off by this breach. Runs straight in through Closet. Able to catch Lima completely off guard to once again narrowly win a round. But this time, in favor of Empire Gaming. So far, it's looking like a blowout for Empire Gaming. Even though they've had a few close calls, and they did have a close call that they lost, they're still on top so far with a 2-round lead. And the thing is, right, Evo 5 is just getting caught out. That's what's happening. They're playing together, but they're not accounting for Empire Gaming's adaptability. This is where the problem comes in. Anytime they try to set up crosses to cut them off, Empire Gaming just looks at that and goes, oh, bet, and has someone wrap around to where the lowest common denominator is. And I don't mean that skill-wise. I mean that as in who is the most stand-out, isolated person that will create an opening to push in. And in last round's case, it was the player in holding main stairs. Once that player was taken out, all hell broke loose as they immediately gained control of bedroom. Though there was some contested back and forth in that, but they still ultimately gained that control, got that wall open, and put themselves in a position where they had a much more open site, and there was an additional avenue for Empire Gaming to play around, which was all they needed for Zofia to finish that round in her favor, as Lima was just not ready. And speaking of being ready, Zin going to be able to take Vexa out fairly early on. That's going to be an early clear as Evo 5 opting for a more heavier roam presence, but so far not paid off as they've already lost a player. Drone going to spot out Sweden. Going to miss one drone, opting to try to fall back here as it's not looking the greatest as far as trying to maintain control. Still trying to contest a little bit, but mostly falling back by weight stairs. However, we are going to see Lima going to be able to take Zin here, bring it down to a 4v4. Lima trying to come in clutch as he tried to last time. 1 minute, 55 seconds. Still plenty of time for Empire Gaming to turn or to make something out of this. Because so far, it's not looking too bad. But here's the problem. Bunker's completely open, and they haven't pushed that way before. That could be their golden ticket to walk right in and create hell for Evo 5 here if they choose to take that, which I think we're gonna see that possibly soon enough. So right now she's holding there, and it doesn't seem like they know Mai gonna be spotted over by Split. Gonna rotate down to basement. That's gonna leave him isolated, creating for a dangerous situation of an execute, especially if you have one hop in bunker. That could be a problem. However, Sweden able to take Moritz. That's going to be a little bit of a problem, losing a set of nades. Sweden going absolutely ballistic on a double kill, able to take out Rixie out as well. And Tumor for perfect to effectively finish this push out. As now it's all up to Scripps. No diffuser in hand. 3 flashes. And I don't think they really know where she is. They did pop the Goyo, though. But so it does seem like they know they've got one watching the feed angle. She doesn't really have a way of vault in. Gonna have to come another way around. But the problem is, she still doesn't have a diffuser. And with one watching white stairs, they are Evo 5 is not giving her any chance to walk in. Gonna have to go all the way through small tower here. But there's still one in showers, and it's Sweden giving Scripps no break here at all, following her all the way through to the end. And to the end, Evo 5 picks up another round. Now moving back down to basement. This is Empire Gaming's opportunity to pick this back up and get a situation where they still have a good lead, because they did a really good job of attacking basement last time with their bait and switch. And if they're able to do that again, and maybe this time, go for a rotate, go for something to throw them off here, they can put themselves in a very good situation with a 2-round lead. Otherwise, it'll be a 3-3 split. Very winnable for either side. We're going to have Sweden on the Bandit, which definitely kind of a more interesting choice, trying to hold out that corner, which can be a very strong angle, one that is extreme, or that can be incredibly difficult to contest unless you have someone pushing down from main stairs. But even then, there's so much you have to fight through. That is way easier said than done. But it looks like we're going to have more of a kind of stall composition, waiting out time. But with Empire Gaming's composition so far, which so far seems a little bit slow but violent. You know, you've got Yana for the information, Grid for cutting off. Seems like they're going to be having more of a focus on clearing out here. So I don't know. That could be what Evo 5 needs to pick up a round or another round here, if that ends up, you know, stalling out towards the very end. But I don't feel like that's going to be the case. Shot's going to give away one's position here. They know that now that there is one one in tower, and they're going to go in, try to clear that out with Zim at the helm. Going to be able to take Vexa with Rixie as well onto Sweden. And there's another one trying to fall back, but they know for a fact that this clear has been demolished thanks to the work of Empire Gaming, as now Evo 5 is going to be forced to fall back all the way down to basement, which is exactly what they do. And I think they know this because they are setting up as if there is not a single worry in the world right now. And really, they're correct. They have broken Evo 5 with 1:30 still remaining. And they absolutely shut down the vertical component entirely. They found where they were hiding, the shots given away by Attic, and they clamped down hard. Those shots ultimately was what killed them. They gave away exactly where they were holding from above, and it didn't work out for them. However, Lima still able to take Moritz despite the situation, still able to hold out. Goyo cutting off Antar, trying to cut off hallway there, but still 4v3. They are right at the doorstep. At any point, they could go for a plant. Script's going to be able to take Tumor. Now onto site. Fenrir going to render him completely blind, but still holding out enough where Antar isn't able to get a good shot at him. Goes for the swing. Able to take the fuser or the bomb player down, but not able to eliminate one at the head heights. Antar going to get overly aggressive here, but the plant is still going to go down regardless. Trying to stop the fuser. Find what it is. Does catch Bana here for a triple kill. Takes some heavy damage onto Rixie, who is at full HP here. But with the wraparound swing from Rixie, able to shut down Antar, who was really cooking up something in Freezer, making himself a meal of multiple picks. But that meal was just missing one final ingredient, the last pick in the defuse. Good try, but not going to be enough. As now we go to the swap with a 4-2 situation. Empire Gaming at the helm with the advantage here. If they can, and that was on attack too, keep that in mind. They kept the 2-round advantage on Oregon. They're looking really good right now. If they can keep this up, then you guys called it once again, and Empire Gaming will take this. And Evo 5 may potentially look at an elimination. We'd have to get the stats for that. I'm not exactly sure, but it's not going to look good either way. They're going to have a long road ahead of them. But despite that, we're going to be moving back up to second floor here. That's going to be the start for Empire Gaming. Going with a relatively safe composition, we do have Zin on the Warden, but honestly, with the amount of Ying players present, that's pretty expected. But we're not going to see a Ying play from Evo 5. We will have a smoke-heavy comp, though, with Capital on smokes and Vexa with smokes as well. Better get rid of Zin, or that is going to be a massive problem. Though he is 3-6, so it's not entirely against the table for Evo 5 to outright get rid of him. However, with Zin playing on the anchor, that's going to be easier said than done. Unless he tries to go for a spawn peek here. But choosing to disengage, Vexa doesn't go for it. But little does he know, that pick would have single-handedly made their execution infinitesimally easier. But despite that, instead, we will see perfect aggress onto Lima, taking that pick there. Just giving a little bit more of a space for Empire Gaming, but not before Antar takes Rixie out in the process. That's going to be a Nitro down and a little bit of intel. Antar able to take Zin as well. Playing very, very well here, placing those well shots. And that's going to be a critical take with Moritz able to get Sweden in return, holding for Freezer, waiting for the rotating security. Got a little greedy there, did we, Evo 5? Now evened out, but they have lost their Warden. But with the smoke player now gone, it's still looking a little bit better. Zombie just trying to hold off that white stairs, throwing a lot of Kiba barriers in order to do so. But the problem is, Antar still has another breach charge, and Zombie is out of Kiba, so she can just do that once again, and we're going to see just that. We also have a bit of a run out from Mute there. I wasn't sure what was happening there, but right now it's not looking good. Tumor still stuck by the double window. They know exactly where Antar is, holding out by White Stairs. The White Stairs player is unfortunately going to have to make the move here, and this is not a good space to do it at all. It's not looking the brightest. And with no smokes remaining, very little utility, there's really no way to flush them out. It really comes down to, does Empire Gaming overextend and get too aggressive here? And that's really the question, because if they hold off White Stairs, they win. Oh, but the swing from Scripps. Antar takes some damage, still alive, tries to finish the kill, but Moritz finishes them off. Nitro goes out and takes them out right as she jumps the window, trying to capitalize on the momentum that Antar established, but it will not be enough. We are now at 5-2. Empire Gaming just so much closer to finishing this out. Evo 5 has to figure something out here. They got obliterated in the defense, and they are struggling on the attack here. They had a little bit, of a comeback after their initial loss, but they got really greedy after they got some favorable picks, taking out Rixie and Zin, just kind of running around, and got picked off by Moritz, and they just kept getting caught in lines of sights that they didn't even know were there. And that's going to be ultimately what costs them the game on attack, is not actually covering like they should, or at least not really accounting for positioning, because right now they're just not properly clearing things, and that's what hurt them a lot on their first attack round. That could just be a blunder, though, but if it is to be a pattern, then I hate to say it, but Evo 5 really doesn't have a good chance here. It's not looking the brightest for them, unfortunately. Very light presence from basement for Empire Gaming, though, which I find quite interesting. And oh, the initial swing from Z-Hall, playing very aggressively. Looking to possibly take another here, as there is another one in Z-Hall. Oh, but the swing, Antar does get it Empire Gaming playing very aggressively out by first floor. They do get a bit of control, but not before Rixie comes right back to take Antar for a bit of revenge. Vexa now stuck in a corner, taking a lot of damage here, trying to contest, but stuck in a corner, is prone, gets spotted out. Vexa takes a lot of damage here. Scripps now walking up to finish the job. Will be able to take Vexa out. Moritz with the shotgun onto Tumor, and a headshot from Scripps for a rapid fire initial entry denial. The whole team wiped out. Evo 5, not having a clue, tried to waltz right into Empire Gaming's trap. And now we're at match point. Evo 5 has no momentum here. They have 4 rounds if they want and even a chance of winning here. There's a reason that it was so high in favor of Empire Gaming, because right now it's not looking good. It's looking really bad for Evo 5 here, especially when you're falling apart on an initial entry like that. That is criminal from Empire Gaming to have not only called out where they're pushing from, but to rotate so fast and absolutely, they basically attacked the attackers. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. They attacked the attackers, and Evo 5 got stomped out like pretty much like 5 defenders sitting in freezer when Fuse sends out the puck charges. That was Evo 5 right there, stuck in freezer with 3 pucks right in their face, no way to escape, unfortunately for them anyway. So I really don't know what they need to do here, because it's looking really bad right now. They have lost 2 rounds, one of them in a violent fashion, and they just have not really been able to make anything. They haven't even been given a chance to. The last round was a complete fluke, and the first round, they just were running into lines of sight. They're just not doing their due diligence at all, unfortunately. And Empire Gaming has spotted this, and they've done a fantastic job of punishing this so heavily against Evo 5 that now they're still trying to waltz in anyway. Despite that, I love the confidence, Evo 5, but I think it's badly misplaced here. They do have trophy room control, but I don't think what they have right now is going to last forever, as Zin already takes Sweden out from a line of sight. It's those crosses every time. That's what's happening, is Evo 5 is just running right into Empire Gaming's crossfire, or into their line of sight, and nothing's coming of it. Empire Gaming is just taking those. And I think we're going to see that again as Rixie does try to trick, but he's going to, I guarantee, even if the wall gets open, he's still going to hold out. And this also is going to give a lot of information of where they're trying to play from, because they've been pretty much grouping together in their pushes, and that's what they are doing so far, holding out in rear stage, or I'm sorry, T2. Perfect, going to be able to take Lima out as well. Right now, it's looking like a blowout as Evo 5 just slowly gets picked off, an unfavorable fight after another. Rixie barely able to take out Tumor. Antar trying to take one, get some kind of control for second floor. They got one pushing out, and that's going to be Lima, or I'm sorry, Moritz, holding his back up against the wall, and with Scripps taking Vexa. That is a flawless round for Empire Gaming, and a sweeping victory. With a round differential that big, I hate to say it, folks, I think Evo 5's out of it. I think they are going to be eliminated. That was jarring. That was a jarring match. It looked like it had potential to be close, and then Empire Gaming pretty much said, nope, we've had our fun. Let's end this. And I mean, after Evo 5 got their 2 rounds, it was win after win after win, taking attack to the attackers. It was a bloody mess for them, unfortunately. All right. Doesn't look like our stats are updated quite yet, so when that's ready, we'll send that over. But unfortunately, we don't have that information quite yet. But I can't tell you what we know so far about the other teams. Flawless 7 still on top with a 14 round differential for 11 points. E-Wave Esports for 9, and Windows Key for 7 points. Aspire by EOS for 6. So fortunately for Empire Gaming, this will give them a little bit of a comeback, especially with such a massive round differential there. Unfortunately, the information is still not up to date. It's not putting in Empire Gaming or the current match, But either way, with such a massive round differential, yeah, they both of them still have some ways to go. But there's a little bit of hope for Empire Gaming, just a little bit. I wouldn't get your hopes up yet, but there is still more to come. So we'll just have to keep an eye on Empire Gaming and see what happens next. But with that being said, honestly, I think that's about everything I've got for you. That was our final match for the night. And before I sign off, I just want to say thank you to everyone for watching our match tonight. And I just want to say that it was challenging casting solo. I apologize we didn't have another caster with us, and I'm sure there was several points where it was kind of lagging out. I do apologize. There's not a lot we can do on our end, but we still made the most of it. We had some great moments in or during those matches, great clutches, gunfights, and a lot of very smart plays, honestly. So, still good fights all around. And with that being said, that's really all I got for you. We're pretty much done for tonight. So, with that being said, to the European world, thank you everyone for watching ESA. My North American butt is going to go out and do things because I still have sunlight. But if you want to see me out at any other time, you can follow me on Twitter at PiercingDN. I also stream as well, twitch.tv/PiercingDN. It's the same thing, but I'm not really doing a whole lot. I've got a new job. I'm kind of busy, so you probably won't see me too much. But hey, if you want to ever say hi or hello or that you like my casting or that I suck, feel free to send a message. I check it every once in a while. But otherwise, beyond that senseless rambling plug in shamelessly, that's going to be it for me. You guys have a good night. Thank you everyone for watching and enjoy your weekend. Seriously. A lot of people don't enjoy the weekend like they should, and take that time for yourself. Always be sure to take care of your mental health. A lot of people don't do that like they should. So, make sure you're staying healthy, staying well, and get a good reset before the next work week, all right? Thank you, and we'll see you next time.